Palantir, and we'll see everybody at 2 o'clock. Until then,
Peace.
Obi and Joe.
What's going on, Trader TV Live? It is your boy Joe, and next to me is the one, the only Obi-Wan. So yeah, how's everything going so far, my friend?
Not too bad, not too bad. Pretty exciting start to the week.
Yeah.
See some of these runners right off in the open, blasting off. It's like somebody turned on all the bid algos.
That's it.
Right
Buy
off the
program.
open. Maybe not right off the open, but yeah. How's your morning going?
It was all right. A little rougher start this morning. We'll talk about that later on in the session, guys, as we wait for people to start to come into the chat, and then we're gonna start doing some roll call here, Obi, with seeing what everybody's up to. Options, Ed, what's going on, buddy? Why not? Oh boy, and Joe, yes it is. Let's go. Guillermo Sanchez. What's going on? Omega Zero. Hey, everybody. People starting to roll into the chat now. Let's see. Jay Lee, my guy. What's up, brother? Hope everything is good. Hopefully you had a solid weekend. Who else we got in here? BVB. What's going on, Bear vs. Bulls? The Piper. Tiffany Valerial. Hey, everybody. Cigar Attach. Okay, I see you. Blue Baron. Hey, Alex Davis. Jack's Money. Why not once again, Epic Bishop, or Eric Bishop, sorry. Sir Mr. M, my guy Korav, what's going on, everybody? Sir Poppy Paper Hands, okay, I see you. What else? Who else do we got in here? Andrew Chow, Obi. We got JCB Sports Cards, Altrif, Showtime 1, Andrew Chow, and Warren. Hopefully, everybody's here, man. They're waiting here for you and I, it seems to be the case, Obi. We got some stuff to talk about today, a lot to talk about. We're going to be going into the second half of the option spreads presentation lesson. We did that last week on Thursday, part 1. Now we're going to get into part 2 and look at some specific technicals that we want to find when constructing these options credit spreads. There's going to be a lot of stuff that we want to cover, especially with the current market sentiment. We know with an increase in implied volatility, that's going to bring increased premiums for our option sellers. But before we get into the lesson of the day, Obi, is there anything you want to touch on, brother?
Nothing much. I'm just kind of watching it. We were talking about earlier some decision making and things like that.
Yep.
And yeah, off of the open, like I said, great opportunities. One of the top ones. It was funny. Back at my desk, I was just like I wrote down like a solid plan for Affirm. And Affirm was one of the ones on watch for continuation. We saw some strong earnings names last week. Palantir has been pretty strong as well. Two of the earnings names that I did have on watch was Docs, DOCS, Net as well. And then Affirm as well. So Affirm doing its day 2 today. So yeah, Affirm kind of was one of the top ideas there. It came in quite nicely coming into some of these prior days levels. What I really liked was this double top on Affirm on earnings day 1, 76.87 on this high at 1 p.m. And guess what? The opening range high is the exact same to the penny. 76.87. So I was like, all right, so if price can find a little bit of a base anywhere and find a bit of a bid through pre-market highs, let's see what we do in and around some of these prior day earnings day 1 highs. And oh boy, the blast off did come in, and Affirm was quite strong, both off the earnings anchored, current anchored, opening range high break. You can see how beautiful that move was, but a little bit of a pullback as of right now. You can see we've kind of, we attempted that 80 mark, but we're pulling back nicely as of right now. So let's see if we get down to VWAP. Other than that, nothing really else on watch. I did trade a little bit of this BP in the morning, a little too early. I was dabbling. Oh, wow, look at this. What's that? Oh, that's Fannie Mae. Never mind. It's here from last time I was logged in, but yeah, no, kind of shorting on the front side of the move lightly, and then when it does come in, I did well to have the most up here, kind of giving it the appropriate risk back to the high, and that did come in, didn't really cover everything, and kind of gave some of that back there. So let's see what the next trade is. That's what I'm looking for here. Few missed opportunities, but the day is not done, and you know how this market is absolutely wild. Opportunities galore. Got to stay alive. Got to manage that risk. I was talking to Wayne as well last week. I did shut down a couple times last week, and I was like, oh boy, this kind of market, it is unacceptable to kind of do that. But it happens. It happens, and I did that pretty badly last week, as you know. But you know what? It is what it is. On to the next one. Where's the next trade? That's what I'm asking.
No, perfectly said, man. We were talking about it not too long ago either, and I don't think you could have put it any better there, Obi. You want to be able to give yourself some room, some breathing room, and keep yourself alive. So very much noted. I'll be taking notes on that and just exercising, going through what we did and what we can always improve on. Timing is really crucial in these markets. And you don't want to miss this volatility, especially in this sentiment here, guys, because those opportunities continue to arise, and you want to be able to partake in them. So you don't want to just take yourself out of the game too early. Unfortunately, it happens. Happened to me, so it is what it is. Live and learn. It's only Monday. There's still a lot of time left in the session, and in the week as well too. So don't go too crazy and blow yourself up too early. But Darth Buddha, you're absolutely right. Don't start trading options until you fully understand them, and that's what we're hopefully going to do here. Always trade paper, trade small when you first start out. It is a little bit of a transition when you're going from paper trading to actual live trading, especially with options. So I don't know if it's, some of your platforms or brokers allow you to do so, but just make sure that you are practicing, you're getting those reps in, right? You don't want to just start clicking buttons, buying contracts where you don't relatively know essentially what you're doing. So that is exactly why we're going to get into credit spreads part 2 just now, guys. So stay tuned. This is going to be a pretty good one, and we got some good stuff coming up for you guys as well throughout the week. So let's get right into this one here, Obi. Lots of stuff to cover on the day. So this is what we went over last week, guys. So credit spreads consist of 2 options contracts of the same class, puts or calls. Very simplistic stuff. It is fixed profit, also fixed risk as well too, but you can always tell that the risk to reward is going to be skewed, and then multiple scenarios to construct a profitable trade. Okay, and then use our delta Greek as a percentage metric. I know that I do this. This is how I construct these styles of trades. Delta is key. It is that #1 factor in me selecting my strike price, okay? So Darth Buddha mentioned, guys, if you don't really know what we're talking about, what delta or what the Greeks are, we're going to go over them right now. So hopefully that you guys can get better grasp of what I'm looking at and what to look for when constructing these types of trades, okay? So let's get right into it here, all right? So we've been over this before. So delta is the Greek that measures the change in the options price for every 1 point move in the underlying asset or stock itself, all right? So we know that we have a range of negative to 100 for puts, all right? And then so negative 100 to 0 for puts, and then 0 to plus 100 for calls, okay? So it's just the inverse on either or. They essentially have the same effect other than the delta being negative for puts and the delta being positive for calls. All right, so if the contract's delta is 0.8, this means the options price will change 80 cents. Using the options contract multiplier of 100 means $80 for every $1 move. If the options contract is valued at $1, we're going to keep it simple here. With a delta of 0.8 and the underlying has a $1 move, the options contract will now be valued at $1.80 or $180. That's the simplicity of it. We like to keep it really simple, and we're not going to overcomplicate things, all right? So that's how you can use delta. But mind you, we can also use it as a percentage metric on whether that contract is going to expire in the money or out the money, all right? We are going to send it off to Adara, and then we're going to get right into Theta as well too, guys.
Beware here of GOOGL. This is Alphabet. I'm seeing some comments coming from Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Alphabet, saying that the biggest risk here is missing out on AI. Unclear if this is why, but we had a pretty significant push to the downside here on GOOGL, dropping about 50 cents in that one candle there. So be cognizant here of Google. Apparently, Sundar Pichai is saying that the biggest risk here, I guess, for the company is missing out on AI. Unclear where these comments were made, but it is worth noting there's this AI Action Summit going on from tomorrow, for today until tomorrow, and it's in Paris, guys. Back to you.
Hey, thank you for that, Adara, as always. Now we're going to get into Theta here, guys. So we all know Theta. Well, we don't all know, but options traders are familiar with Theta. They understand its impact on the contracts, all right? So this metric represents time decay in contract values. If stock XYZ is $100 and its 105 call is $1 with a theta of -0.2, theta always being negative, the options contract value will decrease $20 every day. Now, why are we talking about theta and spreads? Because this is crucial. This is one of our key metrics other than delta that we are going to use in our favor, and options contract sellers really, really love theta. Why? Because day by day, if the underlying asset doesn't move very much, or even if it's moving, I should say, sorry, I apologize for that, the contract's value will start to decay. And that's what we want to look for when constructing credit-based trades. We want that underlying asset to either stay stagnant, either move in our direction, even come a little bit against us, but not too much. But every day that it doesn't come closer to our short strike price, option sellers are putting money in their pocket. So this is what really drew me to trading these styles of contracts, all right? So theta decay is what option sellers are targeting, okay? So now Vega is really important, and in this sentiment, it is really important because there's a couple things we're gonna talk about tomorrow as well too, and that's the put to call ratio and then the VIX. So this is essentially how you can look at a gauge of volatility, okay? So what we're gonna do here with Vega represents how much an options contract's premium will fluctuate with every 1% change of implied volatility. You can correlate implied volatility with the average true range of stock. Higher the ATR, the greater the implied volatility affects the options price. So if you have a stock with an ATR of $2 per day, that options contract isn't going to be valued as much. Why? Because the contract won't fluctuate as much. But then you go over to underlying assets such as Tesla, where that average true range from a daily perspective really starts to increase and widen. That's when you're going to see the increase in options premiums, okay? So catch IV when it's peaked and on the way down. Don't sell when it's low, with the potential of moving significantly higher. And this is something we're gonna touch on tomorrow as well. So technical analysis and stock selection. So when we are constructing these styles of trades, there's some key things that we need to look out for. So options liquidity is important, in my opinion. I like to stick to the bigger names where that underlying asset on the options chain has a lot of open interest and a lot of volume traded. Okay, so we want to stick to liquid assets, identify support and resistance levels, so that's fairly simple as well too, and then combine our technicals and short option strike price to increase our chances of probability. Okay, and we're going to get into that right now. So what can we do here? All right, so this is an example of the Qs. It actually looks very similar to how the Qs are trading right now. But what you can see is we went on this massive bull run here, and then now we have formed somewhat of a top. So what can we do here to construct a credit-based trade? Because we do believe that this underlying or the overall market is going to move sideways for maybe the short term, all right? So what can we do? We mark out our definitive resistance levels, we mark out support levels, and then we come to the realization and the conclusion. We build a thesis saying that, okay, we are now consolidating. So what do we want to do here? So if we think that this underlying asset has stalled at a top, this is one potential trade that we can do. All right, so what we did is we are now trading at 147.12 or 153.12. We go to that delta strike price that is going to give us that 90% probability, or that 0.1 delta, 90% probability of expiring out the money. So we sell the 456 call, and then we buy the protection with the 461 call. What does this say? This trade says, okay, in a week or so, whatever that expiration cycle may be, we do not believe that the Qs are going to trade above $456. That is the trade plan, okay? Very simplistic. And the goal is that by the end of the week, if the Qs do not close above 456, we get to collect the full premium we sold on those contracts, okay? So here's another example here on Apple. We have definitive support, something that we want to look for. This trade was done 2 weeks out. So what do we do with 2 weeks out? We go back to that 1 delta strike price, also giving us that 90% probability of expiring out the money. So what do? We sell the 170 put, and then we buy the 165 put. Essentially, this is synthetically long, and that's okay, because this is what we are looking for, a specific bounce, or that Apple will not close below 170 by the time of expiration. So now you can see on the opening date and the closing date, it's like, okay, Joe, well, that wasn't 2 weeks. Well, that's fine. You can see that we had a massive gap up in that underlying asset. So now, in my opinion, and what I built over trade sample sets, is that if I've hit roughly 60 to 70% of that full premium received before expiration, whether it be 1, 2, or 3 days, I'm going to close that contract because I don't want to hold on to it anymore for 30% more premium when I've held this contract for next to no time and I've had the ability to collect the majority of the premium, if that makes sense, okay? So risk management, always key. Those are just types of levels that you want to look for. You want to find resistance and support when constructing these trades. Make sure they're definitive, and then now you can correlate your short delta with that underlying stock and those key levels. So options are a leverage derivative. Protecting our downside is key to trading longevity. You have to buy your protective puts and calls, okay? So in order for this system to work, we must cap our losses at 100% of the premium received. If you collect $50, your stop loss will be $50, maintaining your risk to reward always at a 1-to-1. Well, a lot of traders might say, Joe, well, I don't like a 1-to-1, but you have to take in the consideration of the probability of profit, okay? So keep that in mind. High probability of profit, RVRs will not be that good. We're going to send it to you in just 1 second here, Obi. Credit received, $5 the stop order will be placed at $1, okay? Simplistic stuff. You receive $50 in premium, you have to return the credit and will be debited an additional $50. Hopefully that makes sense. This is how it would look on the chain. Here, as you can see, we have a net credit of $75. So what are we going to do? We're going to set that stop loss at the exact amount of premium received. Okay, so now putting everything together, you find the stock or index where you like the technical setup and would like to construct a credit-based trade. Define our technical risks and prep for possible else if thesis doesn't play out how we would like. Greeks, pull up your weekly options chain and correlate your technical levels with the options delta. Select our short strike price, buy our protection, $5 spreads to optimize profits and minimize losses. Set our stop losses at 100% of the premium received. Submit order and let Theta do the remainder of the work for us. That is key to the credit spreads, and that's why we like them. Obi, what are you up to, my guy? What do you got going on?
Nothing much. I was just like, ooh. And I think Adam DeLue's in the chat as well. I think we're looking at the same thing because I know Adam trades a little bit of the SPY there. I did get, oh boy, indeed. So yeah, SPY kind of pulling back in. I want to see if it gets down to VWAP, but yeah, that was a little bit of a flush action there, kind of a push down, some strong selling. But again, it kind of bid right back up in and around VWAP. We can see that this kind of consolidation, we're still technically making a higher low relative to this kind of pullback here, but I want to see what VWAP does. Again, the futures, you can see that we were quite aggressive in the pre-market session, in the Globex session as well, kind of coming into the open, and then we did a bit of a flush, distinctly different action on the ES versus the Nasdaq. If you see, the Nasdaq was bidding up and the ES was kind of selling off, so I was like, oh, all right, so what are we gonna have? What are we gonna have here? But the ES kind of catches up and pushes back up in towards some of those highs, and then now we're pretty much coming right back in, and some of that bid maybe giving it up. So I'm gonna be a little patient. Let's see. It could definitely come right back up to 605s here from the 604. I have VWAP at 604.22s, but again, this is within the range that we were kind of doing off of the open. So I'm going to be patient. I got to see what is next. I still got eyes on BP, eyes on Nvidia as well. Some of these Mag 7s very, very strong. Some of these in-play names as well. I was watching Mobileye and Lyft this morning with some of that news, but Lyft with the shake and bake, but Mobileye holding itself quite well here. So we can take a quick look at those. MBLY trades on the Nasdaq. You can see that VWAP buyers definitely distinct, coming in right off of the news there, holding above VWAP, coming in. Even the opening action here sells off and holds that 18 level very beautifully, might I say. Look at this double bottom here on a 3-minute. Both lows of these candles, 942 and 948, both clocking in at the same level here at $18. Oh boy, here comes in VWAP on the spider, coming right down the spout. Here you can see the ES catching a little bit of an acceleration to the downside. Let's see if we get any follow through here. But coming into VWAP, I do want to keep some eyes on it here. But Mobileye, distinctly different from Lyft, who is kind of the sympathy or like the news-related trade here. You can see distinctly different on Lyft as it sells off this, I guess, a $15 failure to follow through. 15.48 is the pre-market high, and we've been making consecutive lower highs there. You can see couldn't really get past that VWAP, didn't really hold. So clearly telling you who's in charge, kind of sellers coming in and stepping down here as it makes lower highs on Lyft, but Mobileye again distinctly different there. And another name that, of course, I was pointing to before is Affirm. Affirm still got eyes on that. Missed the long, missed the reversion here. Bit of a push into 80. Can't really get there. 79.64s, and we're pulling back in quite aggressively. Let's see if we can get down to VWAP here at 76.60s ish. Here, so SPY bouncing off of the VWAP, off of its VWAP. So that's what I got going on right here. Not really looking at too much else. I know people. I was watching NUE. We know that some of the steel tariffs were on watch today. So NUE, I know that was gapping up in the morning, but I didn't really like what it was necessarily doing. But you can see again, kind of gives you that direction in the morning with the morning action, and it shows you it doesn't really want some of those pre-market highs or that VWAP, and then sells off of that as well. So there's, like I said, there's lots of opportunity to go around in this market. You got to be, what I'm realizing, you got to be a little bit of a sniper, and it doesn't make sense to hold trades against you too long in this market, because if it's not working, and you've given it, if you've given it the appropriate risk, and it stops you out, you're like, you should be more than okay being like, all right, well, if this is going to show me what I'm not looking for, then I'm more than willing to move on to the next trade. And that's exactly what I did with this BP position. As you can see, I like the short. Pre-market highs were 34 halves. You can see that, well, it doesn't really show how aggressively I sized in, but I'm definitely much lighter here. And when this happens, a bit of a sell coming in on pre-market highs were 34.49, I think, 34.50. So when I see that push come in and none of that buying pressure kind of continue past the 55s, I like getting in, and I got in a lot more aggressively than I did on the front side of the move, and that did come in nicely. But you can see I got my stop in at VWAP because I'm like, all right, VWAP sellers definitely showing themselves here. That's why I have the ad here. I can make this a little bit bigger so it's easier for you guys to see. This is a 3-minute chart. So I cover a little bit into VWAP, kind of expecting there to be participants and players in and around this level. Yep. And then when it kind of pops and holds, I did well to kind of get in on the right side here where the selling comes in, kind of slam into it. Much less than what I had here, but I want to keep my average in and around here. But it does come in. I barely cover any of it because I'm like, oh, this is going through the open, because the opening price was 34.19, and I'm like, I'm willing to take a lot more if we crack through open. Trying to keep my average in and around that VWAP here. If that move were to come in, bit of a cheeky ad when it kind of pops in here. The ad should be at VWAP, but when it gets back above VWAP, I'm like, all right, I don't want to fight that, because the whole idea was, if this is heavy, I want to see VWAP sellers. If I see VWAP sellers, I'm getting in more. But if that does not stand to be the case anymore, I'm more than willing to get out, and I'm trying to do better with following those rules and being more distinct here. You can also kind of use those trend breaks. You can see that selling breaks trend right here, and that's where I kind of add, which is don't do that. That's me talking to myself. So I'm just like, yeah, that's not the execution set that I follow. That's quite the opposite, to say the least. But when it shows me that clearly VWAP buyers might be there, the picture is slightly different than what it was coming in off of this failure to follow through of the pre-market highs. But you can see we kind of come right back into those pre-market highs. So the long on the failure to follow through the opening price is working out quite well. So that's the information that I'm getting from the chart right now. But yeah, where is the next trade? Maybe it is BP if it breaks that 55, but this spider coming in quite nicely here into its VWAP. So let's see what it does with its VWAP here. That aggressive selling was nice, but that volume, let's see if we can get a breakdown with some expanding volume here. 605.36 is the high. I'm not really looking to cover too much. I don't have as much as I'd really like. Here, I was a little late to it. If we were trading a little bit above this 605s, I would have been a little bit more comfortable getting a little more aggressive for the reversion to VWAP. But this is an issue that I have sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't have the ideal entry, so I might size less, I might size significantly less, and then if the move does come in, I'm just like, oh boy, I definitely should have had more. But I got to do a little bit better with acceptance. That's what I realized. I did a little bit of yearly review over the weekend. Well, I was doing it throughout the month of January, but finished it off or polished it off this weekend, spending a few hours on that, and kind of realized, narrowed down my biggest issues to three main issues. And I thought that was pretty good information. I'm like, all right, well, when I lose big, these are the three.
Let's hear them. Let's
okay,
hear
you know what?
You know what?
Let me pull up my Notion.
Yeah, pull up your Notion
because I did write, and then we can talk about like what my biggest weaknesses are.
Because we know you had a good month, right? Like we know that you had a good month. So just curious to see,
okay.
like it was all right. He had a good month. But I mean, you're still looking to improve at all times. And that will kind of lead to this next question that we see here in the chat. It's from Martin. It says, I'm 19, started paper trading at 17, just began using my own money now, not expecting much profit year one. How old were you when you started? And what was your first year's profit margin? Okay, with multiple questions in there. Yeah. It's funny because,
I'm more than willing to answer.
Yeah, we're going to get into that one here just now, Obi. So I was 27 when I believe I first started intraday trading.
Yeah.
I mean, I was significantly younger when I first started investing. That doesn't mean I knew what I was doing, right? And when I first started, I didn't know necessarily what I was doing. That took a long time. And that's still, I guess, somewhat debatable. But I mean, here we are. I was 27 years old, so it's been a while. And then what was my first year's profit margin? That answer I couldn't even tell you, but I can tell you that I was not profitable my first year. You had those off months where you were profitable, but again, it's a learning curve. And I think that's one part of a reason why a lot of traders, I wouldn't say fail, it's just that the learning curve is so vast and it's long that a lot of people are like, I can't deal with the mental taxation. So it was about 1.5 to 2 years is when I started to find more consistency. But then when I came onto the floor here, it gave me a lot more insight. And these traders just helped me build. So year one, don't expect to be profitable. If you are, I believe you're an outlier in that aspect. Year 1.5 to year 2 is when you're really going to start to figure out your system, realize, hey, I'm good at this and I'm not good at that. Hopefully you collect data on that, which will help you vastly in refining that system and eliminating things that don't work and really honing in on things that do work. And that's exactly why Obi's going to bring up those 3 things that he said, hey, over my review, these are the 3 things that I believe that I need to improve on and something that is somewhat hindering my trading to take it to that next level. So yeah, we'll be able to let's hear what those things were.
So the first point, I can just read this out loud. So it's like, so the question was, when you review your trades from 2024, do you find that if there are any consistently recurring issues? So number one, it was not having a set stop in for my worst trades, moving the stop up, or risking too wide, too heavy, were also characteristics of the worst trades. And then getting aggressive, fighting the trend, and trying multiple times, greater than 5 times, in that same direction. So that was one of the biggest ones. I'm like, all right, I'm losing the most when I fight the trend and I keep moving my stop up. And that was very consistent throughout the biggest red days that I did have. And then the second one as well, kind of related to the first one, but a little different in my opinion, is not following my 3-strike rule. So it's like 3 strikes is like, it's the same thing. It's like, okay, if you're trying a trade in the direction, or you're trying a trade idea, you're trying some executions, and you get stopped out 3 times. 3 strikes, you're out. Go sports. So there were recurring times where I would fight the ticker and stop out multiple times. So kind of similar to the first one, but not following the 3-strike rule, which again, I had put into place knowing earlier on that a lot of times where I kind of shut down or lose in an aggressive way, I'm fighting the trend and not stopping or stopping out multiple times. Death by 1,000 paper cuts, as some like to say. So that's point number 2. And then point number 3, kind of similar to the first 2, but again, it's a result of that as well. Revenge trading. So this one is a big one because this kind of leads me to fight the trend. That's what I noticed. So it's a revenge trading. So I know a lot of people, like I'm sure a lot of you can relate that sometimes we revenge trade, and we, again, as a professional, you try your best not to do that as best as possible. It's absolutely unacceptable. But revenge trading, so missing trades and or feeling like I did not properly capitalize on a given opportunity, and then trying to fade the missed move or being stubborn with another trade idea. So very specific in that. I was like, okay, this is very distinct. I have good trade ideas and say that they worked out well on that day. And I'm like, oh boy, I missed that trade. I should have had it. I planned out for whatever Affirm. I was telling you Affirm today. Like I planned out pretty extensively what I wanted to do on it, and then it did pretty much what I was looking for, and I didn't have it. So this is why I talk about acceptance. I understand that I need to be able to accept that I've missed good trades, and especially in a market like this, there is always the next trade. So it's like, all right, so whatever, you miss a great trade. Figure out what you can learn from how and why you might have missed that trade, and then move on to the next one. So those were my three biggest ones, and I also talked about like kind of delved deeper into those three things, like why do I have the problem? What's a potential solution, and how can I potentially implement said solution into that? So I guess we can go through it a little bit later on in the midday show, kind of going through those three issues and how I think that I should solve those problems and how I should implement those solutions as well. Might not be the best, but it's kind of taking steps towards trying to fix that problem. And the solution that I've come up with may not be the right kind of solution, but again, it's a step towards the right direction for sure on that. But those were the three issues.
I mean, many things don't work right off the bat, right? It's more of a rinse and refine type thing, right? So you just adjust things. But I think acceptance, what Obi touched on, acceptance is one of the hardest things. Just watching a stock move in your favor after you've taken your three shots on it, it didn't work out, and then sure enough, if you had a little bit more room to trade it, then it moves in your favor, but yet you're sitting on the sidelines watching it move in your favor and accepting the fact that it does that. Been in this game, this is my 4th year now, Obi, of actually intraday trading. I've had my... I didn't even answer
that question,
So I've had my fair share of that. It sucks to this day. It sucks. I had that happened to me this morning, but it is what it is. And I say this all the time, guys, is that we are going to have another trading session. Tomorrow, the market is going to be open, guess what, at 9:30 a.m. sharp. So don't let those emotions control you. Control those emotions and get prepared for the next day, because it's done. All you can do is learn from those mistakes, move forward, and then look to come to execute the next day, guys. So let's see what we got going on here. We're talking about psychology and some other things. There's a lot of good questions and comments in there that we will touch on here briefly. I started trading in June of 2024. No prior stock market experience. Still haven't seen my first year. I am positive. I think it's pretty easy for me. Okay, by all means, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad. Deadcat said that is easy for you. So congratulations to that positive first year, and I hope that you can continue to grow in that way. What are your rules for going into a trade, if you don't mind me asking? Kind of along the lines of what Obi said, as you gain more experience, you'll realize your setup, you know when your setup is forming, and then now you have to implement certain rules. Okay, I missed it on the first entry, that's fine. I'm only going to give myself $10 worth of risk on 3 entries. I'm risking $30 on this thesis. If it plays out or not, then I'm going to either hit my 2-to-1 or I'm going to be down $30, and that is part of the acceptance and rules. We can get a lot deeper into the rules of trading, because as you get more experience, there's so many tedious aspects to trading. You're going to go through so many different scenarios. You need to be able to hone in on that, realize, hey, not every one scenario is the exact same, but they're identical, and you have to treat them as so, all right? So let's continue to talk here, guys, and see what we got going on. So, okay, here with Google, Obi, what we did is we tried to grab it a little off of VWAP, got a couple outs, but then we got stopped out break even, and then the same thing again. Didn't have the best second entry on this one, and then we get stopped out break even on Google. As the overall market seems to be moving to the downside, and Obi's almost about to be in a dollar club here on the SPY. Nice short there, my friend, because the SPY is now south of the volume-weighted average price, bringing the rest of the market down with it. We've seen that Tesla had a monster run, Palantir had a monster run in the opening drive, Amazon and NVDA were absolute insane, strong opening drives right out of the gate and continue to do so. So trading around 133, but you can see the volume weighted average price almost acting as a tighter moving average, hugging price right now. So let's see if we can get this trend to continue. Look for any indecision around view up or just below it. So looking for that second leg into this gap fill on the daily, which is absolutely prestige, and I'm happy that I had some good till cancel orders out over the weekend. One got filled on the dip buy, so that was really nice for us. But this thing, Brankos and I were talking about it as well too. The forward PE on this OB is still relatively cheap. I think it's trading around 27 times the market, so I mean, nothing crazy, but one thing that is still extremely cheap and I want to get involved with for a potential longs, and what I was looking for on longs earlier today and a nice recovery is Google, trading at 22 times forward earnings. So the street still has this thing relatively cheap, extremely cheap, and I think that it's going to recover. As of right now, today seems to be somewhat of an inside day, and that's okay, but I believe that maybe we get that second leg to the top side here, OB, if those buyers decide to step in, and then maybe in this week, in the coming week, we can enter that gap that since that earnings report we gapped down.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to be looking out for some of that to come in here. And we're in the middle of earnings season here, and like I said, there's a lot of earnings names this week as well. I was looking at some of that earnings calendar there, and yeah, not everything is going to set up perfectly the way I'm looking for, but because there's so many different options, I can have like a basket open, kind of charts open and kind of looking for certain prices and really hunt for the right opportunity. And oh boy, look at BP. I was getting ready to kind of get back into this short. I was like, all right, are we making a lower high here underneath that half, 34 halves? And aggressive buying, kind of pushing it right back up, making some fresh highs on the day is BP. And yeah, no, going back to that question earlier there about I think somebody said they're about 19 years old, what to do, what to look for. Again, I don't know what the best options for you specifically might be, but I started pretty late. I honestly wished I started kind of delving into the markets earlier. Just like you, I started around I think it was like 26. I was 26 or 27. 2019. At the end of 2018, I kind of started. So I was a part of the whole 2019, March 2020 kind of action, price action. But the thing was, I wasn't necessarily trading large caps at all at the time, which I definitely delve in a lot more. Now I was kind of getting slapped around on small caps mainly, getting squeezed out, getting margin called a few times actually, and you know, it's like, well, nobody really does a margin call anymore. They send you an email being like, you need to deposit a certain amount into your account by a certain time. Yeah, no. It was good. It was a good learning experience, for sure. No regrets. That's for sure. But yeah, no profitability. Oh boy, let's not even.
Yeah, we're not going to go down that alleyway. No. Yeah,
it's definitely negative for the first few years, and it's only like I said, I came onto the floor after kind of being like, all right, I maybe starting to get a little bit of a hang of how to maybe assess things, and then you start learning things from other traders, and then the market itself being one of the biggest mentors as well. And it really humbles you to like, okay, well, you thought you knew something, but you absolutely know nothing. And I still, a lot of these days, still feel very much the same. I'm just like, well, I think I know some things, but Mother Market definitely is more than willing to humble you and put you in your place more often than not, until you kind of get a hang of it. And even then, you have to continuously kind of work on adapting and changing strategies. But what I found was developing like a perspective around supply-demand mechanics kind of goes well in across multiple market environments and cycles. Again, if something is getting bid, if there's a strong bid and that bid kind of goes away, then maybe you want to look for a little bit of a relief, and maybe some relief's better than others. I know that Michael Noss this morning was talking about reversion trades. I think that's something I kind of grew akin to over the years, and especially coming onto the floor. I'm like, well, if I can get on the other side of this move, this really strong move, again, more nuances have been built on that trade idea over time. Like something just can't be just strong for me to be like, all right, I'm going to try fading this because it's strong.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well, if this is strong going into a supply or demand zone, and then I see a bit of a pullback or a bit of a relief of that prior pressure, then maybe I want to take a stab at it, something like that. But it's like you develop ideas over time. But yeah, no, it's definitely a hard journey. No one said it's easy, and it takes a lot of time and grit to kind of find your pacing. Yeah, it's very rare to get a profitable and consistent in your first year, but it's not impossible, right? It's definitely not impossible. There are a lot of bright minds all around the world. But yeah, no, I think. Did you read that super chat earlier? It said something about getting into sales as well. I can tell you, I come from a biology background. So when I started trading, this was a total, it's totally left field, kind of adopting to different kind of things. But what I do kind of bring in, which I think was helpful, was psychology. Right, psychology of the masses, psychology in how people hope for things to happen, look for things to happen, kind of anchor to things to happen. And these are things that I sometimes succumb to myself. But when I see it happening on the chart, when I see some panic on the tape, when I see some of that emotion coming in on the tape, and it's visible on both the price action and the chart, then I think is some of the best opportunities sometimes lie in that, because you're catching players offside. Yep. And at the end of the day, we always talk about this. This is a PvP game, and this is definitely ranked. And that's for sure. So that's kind of my perspective that I've built. Now, of course, that perspective will definitely change. I don't expect to be the same throughout my trading career, but as it has changed over multiple years.
You're not really growing at that. You're not really growing at that point. And just to add to Obi's point, before we talk some more stocks here, guys. Just follow, exactly. There you go, Nimrod. But we got a $10 super chat. But before we get into this, I just want to mention, before I even started paper trading or even going live trading, I studied for a year. So I was working still for all my fellow Canadians. I was still working for Bell Canada at that time, and I would come home and I would read. I've read so much. I watched every YouTube video. I joined educational services for a full year. I did this before I even touched pressing a button. So educate yourself. It's going to help you with that journey in the long run, as I did, and you definitely reap the benefits down the line. So and yeah, most definitely. Like, I saved a bunch of money so you can start your own account, etc. There's a lot of things that you need to do to get started. So $10 super chat from Alex Barentez, new to the channel. Well, it says 3 years there apparently, but not familiar with the name. But here we go. All the young dudes 18 to 20 that have no capital to put into the market should get into a sales role. Okay, sounds good. You'll learn a valuable skill and have more money to put into the markets. Yes, valid point. Then Nimrod, our guy here, says it's totally possible to be successful as a newbie trader. Just follow this channel. Boom. That's exactly it. Well, I mean, here we are, Obi and I talking about kind of the beginning of trading, how we got into the journey and what it can require from not only a capital standpoint, but from a mental capital standpoint as well, too. So it's really key to not expend too much capital. I mean, you got to work hard. This guy's working hard. I go home and first thing I do is I turn on all my systems. I go over replay. I run my replays. I go over my previous trades, and I just try to refine them to come a little bit better. And that's what you have to do on a day-to-day basis in this game, because, I mean, there's a couple times, Obi, before I came here, I thought that I found the golden ticket. I had it. I'm like, yo, this is it. It's essentially a wrap now, right? I'm gonna own these markets, and then sure enough,
the market owns you.
And then sure enough, things can turn around real quick. And one thing that was key for me is that I was so overconfident that when I did get beaten down, to recover that amount of capital expenditure, mental capital expenditure, took a lot longer than what I wanted to. So, guys, just be humble, stay humble, because you will be if you don't. So just try to stay from a systemic standpoint. Don't get too overzealous and stick to the system, guys. But let's see what Adara's up to here.
Great talk there on the markets and finding your approach to the markets. I also want to take a moment here to look at earnings. So not really earnings, but more guidance here. AXP taking a dip to the downside earlier today. The company's CFO, Christophe Lecayek, basically said during an investor presentation for the company, said that Q1 expectations are too high. So people are expecting too much for their Q1 report based on their Q4 report, which was apparently pretty well received. He said there's actually some factors that suggest quarterly decline here or sequential decline, saying that most of their credit normalization story has already played out. So pretty grim look there from CFO of American Express. Then we have McDonald's here on watch. MCD trying to bounce right now off that 306 and actually in most of a range for this morning here. But basically McDonald's, not an earnings name we talked a lot about. We spent a lot of time on Monday and on Semi. MCD actually did have in-line earnings per share. They missed on sales. And their situation with regards to year-over-year growth in their comparable sales was kind of mixed. International actually was above expectations. We had slight growth where we were expecting a decline. But America comparable sales were pretty rough. So really mixed picture here for MCD. Apparently, though, their loyalty with regards to their app was really strong on a year-over-year basis. Now I want to debut our brand new earnings calendar for TTV Research. We've been doing this earnings board for a little bit, but this is the first earnings board here where I've actually included an economic calendar. So you can see what's going on every single day, the main events anyway. In addition to these earnings, you can check that out on X at TTV Research. Not yet posted. You guys are getting a brand new sneak peek, but that's going to go on X post haste. Tonight, not a huge earnings night, Astera Labs and Vertex, but tomorrow morning, we've got BP, which actually got an reportedly Elliott investment getting involved. We have Shopify, we have Humana, and we have Coca-Cola, so it should be a pretty big one. Check that out on X at TTV Research, set to be posted right now. Back to you.
Nice
For that.
dive.
Yep.
It's nice concentration of or summary of economic plus earnings names.
exactly.
So it's like
All in one.
That's pretty dope. I usually get those from two different sources, so it's solid. That's all of that information is right there in one place for you to kind of capitalize on.
We got a $5 super chat here for you though, Obi. I've had a good few swings on Serve, BBAI, and UPST. I bought some March 80 calls today and wondering your thoughts. Similar setup to Meta. So I guess what are your thoughts on Serve, BBAI, and UPST? We'll start at one at a time.
We'll start with Serve, I guess. I don't know. I can give you my thoughts on this, but these are not tickers that I really involve myself in. So I don't know how much my opinion on this matter is really worth. But sure, I like to look at charts. You know, I like charts. So we can take a look at Serve. So the question was March calls?
Yes, some
March calls for this. So all right, so we're going to higher time frame. What I like to see is maybe something happening on a higher time frame. So we can just go to a weekly. We are in February, so yeah, this looks pretty solid here. You can see that I do have some technicals there from or some lines there from earlier. Yeah, it looks like we built like a nice little base here on the $7 level. This was an aggressive push in July 2024. Bit of a failure to follow through, failure to sell off even more back to reference prices. So this hold is quite nice. And then you kind of slowly build and break. So I like this. So this prior high right here, we break through it. This is a weekly chart. We break through that prior high with some expanding volume and then a light volume hold above that price as we trickle up. And look at that. That's beautiful right there. So a bit of a hold of this prior high here from when is this? This is the week of July 29th on the Monday. Sorry, no, that's the weekly chart. So the week of July 29th, and then we kind of clip that high again at the beginning of the year, first week of the year, January 6th week here with a high of 24.35. Was it the same high as this one? Let me just check. 24.09. So it looks like it's trying to get up there. This hold is nice. The push through with some expanding volume is nice, and we're holding higher lows, kind of building into this level here. But the first test of this level kind of shows us that there might still be kind of some selling pressure sitting here, or still interested in selling these prices right underneath that 25. That's just what the chart kind of telling us. But if we kind of continue that push, the break could be quite nice if it gives it to us there. So that's Serve. And what was the other one?
Serve,
BBAI?
Uber and BBAI.
Uber, I like that one. So we know we had a little bit of a shake and bake this morning on Lyft. Yeah, on Lyft. But Uber, interesting tickers here, kind of in anticipation for robo-taxi. I think people are definitely trying to position themselves here. But again, this just looks like a sideways chart to me as of right now. Since when is this? Since about December, kind of a chip chop here, 85s to 60s, sideways consolidation. But we are consolidating above some of these prior highs here, which is nice. This aggressive selling that did happen. I forget what the catalyst here was on. Okay, also August 5th. So this was August 5th, and we've been holding that at August 5th low. So I guess that's a good sign here on that. But sideways consolidation here on Uber. But bigger picture, maybe we are making kind of higher highs and higher lows here on the weekly chart. And that last one was BBAI here. I know this one's been running. This one's been interesting for people over the past couple of weeks as it builds back up. Again, this is a repeat offender. If you kind of go back and look, this sticker's been kind of giving you opportunities both ways, right? So it's like, all right, so if something is not working, I think these are great tickers to kind of be as tight as possible, being like, all right, well, if we're going to sell off here, what is really the backside of the move? So it seems like this was aggressive volume last week. I did have eyes on this, and we got a little bit of continuation today, but a bit of a failure to follow through, it would seem, coming into this week. So you can see that leg consolidation, leg going into the end of the week. That was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Again, giving us lots of decent opportunities, but a little bit of a pullback here. Let's see if we can sustain some of these levels here. So again, you got to let the chart kind of let you know where it's headed. And higher highs, higher lows, it can be as simple as that. It can just kind of following the trend and kind of getting with the trend as well. The trend is your friend on all time frames. But again, that's kind of sometimes that's rich coming from me that because I try to fade the trend sometimes. But counter trend is still part of trend trading, is it not?
I wouldn't disagree with you there, Obi. Especially, but I guess you've been doing it for a while, so you know what you're specifically looking for. Yeah, opposed to just like blatantly being, oh hey, all right, let's short
there were times I just like take the short as soon as it kind of pulls back. I'm like, boom, take that. Like, oh boy,
just smashing the ass.
But here's the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the beautiful part. If I manage my risk doing that, and sure, it could be kind of crazy at times, but if I'm overall managing my risk relatively well, I'm putting in the reps to kind of show me what works and what doesn't, right? It's like those are the things. Like if I can get really good at falling and getting back up, that gives me more confidence to know which ones I can have a strong footing on. Yeah. Right? So it's like, all right, so that's the kind of experience I try to build with some of the strategies or ideas I'm trying to build here. But a little bit of a pullback here coming in on BP, coming back into its VWAP. You know, we've been holding that VWAP. Market's taking a bit of a pullback here as well. Spider chip chopping around that its VWAP as well. So I did cover a little bit there, just piecing off slightly. But NVIDIA taking a nice little pullback here. The reversion on NVIDIA seems to be coming in. Apple near day lows. Oh boy. That was a very strong seller on Friday, and I was looking for the continuation coming into today, but with a little bit of a gap up, I'm like, all right, well, let's see where we find sellers. And sellers we did find at the high of day just above 230. So 230.60 is the high of day currently on Apple. We're trading at 229s as of right now. Amazon with a little bit of a pullback as well, kind of breaking that trend. But let's see how well the Spider does holding its VWAP as we chip chop around here. But again, ES and the NASDAQ still very strong on the day, hasn't really given up the trend on the day. So we could, again, we talk about different properties of things like range expansion and things like that. It just seems like we're doing maybe a little bit of that here as of right now. So Spider, let's see if we catch a little bit of a bid. But BP, let's see if this one can lose any of its fuel. That we had off of that catalyst in the.
So what are you doing? Playing the double top there, kind of.
I'm already short.
You're short from that top.
I got short. I'm like, I don't know if I should get like in terms of like size. Like here's the thing. Sometimes I don't even like to think about like how much I want to necessarily get in. I have a sizing calculator that kind of lets me know based off of if this is an A, B, or a C trade. So it gives me an idea of like, okay, well, realistically, if you're risking X% of ATR, you should be getting into this amount of size relative to the amount of risk units you should be risking for this given trade. So it makes life a lot easier. So I can just type in the ticker and it tells me, okay, well, if this is a B trade, look for this kind of size within this given risk, and if that lines up, I'm like, all right, it gives me an idea. It's not like, oh, I'm punching into that kind of size right away, but it gives me an idea of like, this is the amount of size I can comfortably get into, given that given a certain percent risk there relative to ATR. That's what I like to use on some of those trades. But yeah, that's all I got kind of on watch here. Some aggressive selling coming in here on BP. So. Yeah, a bit of a break of trend here. I can kind of show you what I was looking at here. So I did get short earlier. You can see where's the ticker? Okay, so yeah, earlier here as we take a pull, I did short the front side, which again I think I spent a little bit too much risk on shorting the front side, but I was like, I'm going to spend 3 risk units on this ticker. And it was, I think I was about two risk units down. And then I'm like, I'm going to give it one last try, but it sized in a lot more aggressively. It gives me less than a 5 penny risk to get in. So I really like that
signal
push.
right there too.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
So I really like that because you can see what it did with pre-market right here. Yeah. So this is pre-market chop. It's not doing that much volume, but it's still action. It kind of fails to follow through there. And look at this now. Not only do we bid back up off of a failure to follow through of that opening price, which was a higher low relative to pre-market, but we kind of false break this high with some aggressive action. Look at that volume that comes in. So maybe slightly capitulatory on the shorter frame. So that's why I liked it. But we kind of slam right back down into VWAP. So I gotta see how that kind of comes in here. But if we're gonna do that with VWAP, I do want to stay a little bit nimble here, just trying to make the right kind of decisions here. But again, if we hold VWAP as a resistance, like we looked like we were doing earlier, I do want to get a little bit more aggressive. But again, the false break of that prior high was quite nice. And let's see if it gives us more chances to execute on this one. Again, Spider, oh boy, we're coming right back into some of those levels. So this consolidation looking like it's holding as of right now on the SPY. You can see that we did a bit of a bounce here on the ES off of what is this? Are we on the we're on the H contract, Neil? Is that the current contract, H?
Oh, yeah. So someone in the chat here, Obi, was asking about if the futures were open. So you're probably just on the wrong contract at this point. So just double check to make sure you're in there. Is it still the right one?
It's H.
Okay. Yeah. So that's us. Look, somebody in the chat here, Obi, asked us to take a look at MGOL. But from a daily perspective here, not something you would want to be looking to get involved in long term. But I mean, here you're getting the volume on that daily spike. So you're getting that breakout with that volume confirmation. And then we can see from an intraday perspective as well, too, here, guys, what we got going on. All right, well, now that froze on me waiting for that. I'll try it one more time. MGOL, gotta love that. Okay, so here we go. On a intraday perspective here, guys, not too bad. Really strong pre-market and now pulling back. But you can see that this trend is still intact here, almost to a T. So keep that in mind. If you can get involved somewhere along this trend line and where you're going to get the most connections, and then possibly is where you want to look to buy a possible dip. So here it is. No, we don't want to own any of that. So there it is on MGO. OL there, guys. Intraday, not too bad. Nice engulfing candles. Can it go and test this pre-market high? Only time will tell. So that is MGOL. And then SMCI. It was actually number 2 on my list today. And fortunately, I didn't trade it. And it was almost a picture-perfect setup for me, sitting on top of, or sitting just at a really key cam level, something that I look out for breakout trades. But unfortunately, I just didn't pack my patience. I didn't wait enough in order for me to get the correct entry on this thing. So I just kind of avoided it. Overall here. So let's see what we got going on from a daily perspective as well too. So really nice trend, starting to recover, holding some key levels here. We know what happened down here, guys. This stock was beaten and battered, but now up almost 50% or 100% from this low here in November, and that is SMCI. I mean, continue to hold on to this thing. I know there's a news catalyst on it, and it's reflecting well in the intraday price action. If you're looking to go long, be patient, don't chase it. Wait for those volume-weighted average price holds, and then look to assess the situation and possibly make a trade off of that. Because we know that OB's in SPY right now, hovering around VWAP as the Qs also haven't quite touched it yet and are now going for a test of that high. We're still quite a bit off of it. Well, about $1, not less than $1, about 50, 60 cents off of the high a day on the Qs, guys. As some of these big names like Tesla and NVDA continue to climb higher, that's going to drag the Qs up with it, and especially with the likes of Amazon as well too. Let me see what Meta's up to here, Obi, because I haven't looked at it, and I seen I know Neil was talking about Netflix waiting for a Netflix split. I think we're waiting for a Meta split as well too. Those would be two stocks that you would definitely look to get involved in if they decided to split and become a little bit cheaper. Because I mean, Meta is something that you want to hold with over 2 billion people on Instagram and the Meta platforms. So when you have the majority of the world, not the majority, but a high percentage of the world using your applications, then that's a company I think in the long run you want to own, and that's Meta, guys. Let's see what else we got going on here, Obi. Google not really working too much, working out too well for us here, and that's okay. I mean, we're starting to form these lower highs, which is slightly alarming, and we have to pay attention to this because now we have a definitive base here as well too. So if we decide to break 187 here, Obi, with that volume and momentum stepping in, then maybe that thesis might be invalid. So we really need to assess the situation, be prepared to take action when it comes time, and see what Google is up to. I mentioned it being an inside day from a daily perspective. We had that massive engulfing candle after the earnings report, and then we continue to sell, breaching some key support levels, but now slightly on the recovery mode here. I mentioned the PE being extremely cheap. I think it's only a matter of time until this stock recovers, and then we're going to look to take advantage when it does so. I mean, early on the entries, and then we get this nice move, breaching through that pre-market high on Google. I'm curious if this is going to be a pullback with the overall market continuing to trade higher as well too, or we're generally going to break through some of these support levels and head more to the south side, Obi.
Yeah, that's. I guess that's kind of what I'm looking for here to see if this bid kind of dissipates, or we're just chopping in around VWAP. But the thing is, like we chopped around VWAP on the spider for over about 30 minutes here, even longer since I got in. I got in almost right as I sat down, or as the show started here. 11:06 was the entry, and we kind of got to VWAP by about 11:20, and then started chopping around here until about I guess about 12. It was 12 now, but about I'd say about 11:50, and then now we're kind of consolidating here. So I did get out of about 80% of that. Of whatever I had from the beginning, just holding the rest as a bit of a trail, kind of looking for a potential lower high. But if the market's not going to give it to me, that's perfectly fine. You got to again respect that we did aggressively sell off coming off of the open there, and then bid back up, and now technically we are making a higher low here on both the ES and the Nasdaq. So I do want to respect that. And going back to Meta there, I just searched up because I'm sure I asked this question recently, and I was like, has Meta ever split before? And Meta has never split since going public.
Never.
$38 a share. I remember asking Neil and Sean, did you guys trade that IPO? And I've heard some stories about how amazing that IPO was. Was it Goldman Sachs on the bid holding the 40? Morgan Stanley on 37s holding the bid, and you could have just risked against them, eh? Easiest. It was the easiest trade. Okay, so he's gonna talk about it in the lesson of the day, but it's like epic things like that. I'm like, oh, sometimes you do see them. You see a held offer, held bid, but we're gonna
set it up to Adara here briefly, there, Obi, and then Neil with the lesson of the day.
Look here at the markets around 12 p.m. S&P 500 up about 0.2% here on the day. Then we have the Nasdaq up significantly more, about 1.25%. We did get the NY Fed inflation number, as mentioned earlier, not a huge market mover, but it's notable because of the discrepancy between this print and the print that we got last week from the University of Michigan. So New York Fed inflation seeing this unchanged 3%. We saw about over 4% inflation expectations with the University of Michigan coming through on Friday. Also, just seeing here, apparently Trump will be arriving at the White House at 12:10 p.m., so I will be keeping an eye on any comments from that. Then at 1 p.m., he'll be signing even more executive orders. So I will be right here giving you all the news in this ever-changing market. Some stocks to watch here, IRBT, iRobot, I'm seeing getting some movement here with a 13% short float. But Let's talk about some of these Max 7s here. Microsoft on watch. They actually did confirm here. It was reported earlier that they're facing a French antitrust probe with regards to Bing. Now it's actually been confirmed. They're saying, yes, we are facing this probe with regards to antitrust in France. Then we have Google pushing even lower here. Comments from CEO Sundar Pichai earlier today saying that the biggest risk for the company would be missing out on AI. That's when they first started to take a little bit of a tumble here. So GOOGL on watch, making lower highs and lower lows. The other Make 7 name to talk about, as just mentioned there, is META. This is notable not necessarily because of any news, but because this stock is poised to go 16 straight days to the upside. That would be a 16-day green streak for over $700 ticker META. And with that, I'm very excited to pass you over to Neil and his lesson of the day. Take it away, Neil.
What we're gonna do right here is go back, way back into time. Okay, we will, and I promise I will kind of go over what happened with Facebook on its IPO day, because it was fun. But when I say it was the easiest trade, one of the easiest trades I've ever witnessed, trust me, it was one of the easiest trades I've ever witnessed. But the lesson of the day is gonna be a simple one. Sometimes in an upward trend, the best thing you can get is, and I know it's not fun for people to get shaken out, but when a bunch of people get shook at the open, those can be the best continuation longs. And we'll talk about this in the context of two particular names, and then I'm gonna throw in a third, and I'm gonna start with that third because SMR was a light example of this. You know, certainly, there's your daily chart. It's not a parabolic upward trend, but it has been slightly going higher every single day. Like, you've been right to want to be long this stock. You just necessarily have wanted to be patient when looking for the long on this stock. You have all these tests of higher lows, and you're going higher lows, all that kind of good stuff. But what it does at the open, I'm not saying just be on the bid for this situation. Like, it's a little bit more nuanced than, hey, when I see this, you want to be on the bid at the pre-market low. That is one way to go about it. But it's more about, even if you miss the opportunity off of these lows, it's the breakout after you sort of rinsed the bottom, after you've gotten the weak hands out. The continuation long, like, it's gapping up, it's only kind of green that day, and then you get right off the open, flat bottom break, some people short, other people swing long, maybe gotten out of their positions, and then the relief rally to the upside with continuation here. I wanted to use that as a decent example of where it's not necessarily clean on the break, but then the trend gives you the dip to where sometimes it is that clean. And the example I'm going to use here is a firm, because I came in this morning saying to you guys 77 break on a firm, because that was the all-time, that was the 52-week high. But right at the open, this is an example of that break the bottom, get all the weak hands out, trap some shorts as it goes red, catch the bid, and then just take the breakout. Because at this point, there's your resistance. It tags it again, higher low, just take the breakout. Because you've trapped shorts, you've gotten some people out, and then you get that break of the high, which is an obvious stop area. It's an even dollar as well, and it's pure continuation. Oddly enough, if it's not VWAP 77, I'm doing a reversion on a firm or the 76. Right now, looking like it could be 77. So just for you guys, this is something I'm looking at literally right now there on a firm. And then the other one, so I had this one, and any guesses who had this other one? Palantir? Anybody? I know you guys know Sean had it. So there's the break of the similar thing, where like rinse at the open. This one was even more extreme. Broke down the pre-market lows, broke down Friday's lows, and then rocket ship to the upside. Then another higher low. But look at the break. You're like, oh, I'm not taking it after it's gone $4. You can't go long after a $4 move. Yeah, you can. Because there's your breakout trade right there. It's a simple setup because it doesn't require you to do that much at the open. You can just be observing the stock. Once you see one of those candles where it's a complete capitulation candle, you're just looking for the setup of the breakout. You're not trying to figure out where is it going to dip by. Who cares? If it double taps the top and then gives you that triple tap for the breakout like both Affirm and Palantir do, then you just take the break. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And I like the fact that it's set up on two different stocks, so I'm sure there's a couple of others you could have looked at that had the same setup. Now, I promised you I would sort of wax poetic about the Facebook IPO. I wish those days would come back, but the actual premise behind the IPO trade that we still do, like what you would have done with Reddit and, I don't know, like Kava, some of the recent ones, fundamentally starts with Morgan Stanley on Facebook. Because what happened that day is one of the underwriters, which was Morgan Stanley, as the stock was just, I mean, it wasn't having a good day. I forgot, it opened somewhere in the 40s, I think it was. And it was just sort of tracking down, trending down. And most people couldn't short the stock, so you're watching it fall. Then it got to the issue price, which was 37 or 38. I don't remember, it was a long time ago. But on the bid that day was 15 million shares of the issue price. Let's say it's 37. Morgan Stanley, and back then, it wasn't like you'd look at a stock here, like AMD, NASDAQ. No, you would see Morgan Stanley on the bid for 15 million shares. And then that 15 million was 10 million. And then that 15 million was 5 million. And then that 15 million was 2 million. Somewhere around the point when it was about to break under 1 million shares and it looked like it was going to break the bid, they re-upped for 10 million shares. Now, I don't have to tell you what you do in that situation when you see them eat through 15 million share order from the underwriter at the issue price, and then they just say, no, we're refreshing it back to 10 million. Everyone and their mother just hit the offer. And I don't care whether you got 37.01, 37.05, 37.10, you just won on the long that day. And the premise behind what we look for on IPOs comes down to that. If I see an obvious support level on an even dollar that looks like it could be the issuer, it's just buy support, well, I'm going long in front of it. No ifs, ands, or buts. That is the premise behind it. It all started when everyone made a bunch of money on that day in Facebook. We're like, well, if I see anything approximating that again, I'm just going to do it. And now we do it off the open a lot of times on IPOs because you get that first push when they see the buyers. So I promised I would take you back to that trade and why we look at those big even dollar support levels on the IPOs. That said, the real lesson today is it's a simplistic setup when you have the capitulation candle off the open and the open range top sets you up for a clean breakout. Whether it's a double top, a triple top, as with Palantir, as with a firm. If you're a patient trader, it's the kind of trade that takes sometimes like a half an hour to set up, which is good. Because in that time, you don't have to be worrying about all of that crazy action in the first 15 to 30 minutes. You can just participate on that 1A+ breakout trade. That usually, a lot of times, it can just make your day, be one of your top stocks. And it wasn't even something that was there at the open. So a lot of times, we hunt for these setups to be able to get that first move we can hold all day. Don't sleep on that rinse and go kind of trade here on both Affirm and Palantir. Good luck, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
for
thank
that.
you for that.
Always a great story when I hear that one. That's like absolutely,
that's why you always got to listen to what he has to say.
Textbook example of like textbook price action. Right? It's like tape action or whatever you want to call it. Like things you want to see happen. But was that real?
With that drop here, show them what you got going on SPY there.
No, okay, no. I was like, is that real?
I don't have the dollar club, but Obi's doing pretty good there in the sell-off here on SPY. Yeah. I said to him, hey man, are we gonna reverse it here? I like that hammer just below the volume weighted average price, but it blew through that, so making thesis invalid. But yeah, show them what you got going on over there, Obi.
Yeah, no, I mean that consolidation. What did I just do? Okay, no, the consolidation there was, like I said, I got out of 80% on this consolidation and it fails to follow through. But here's the thing, that's fine, cover. But the execution is on the breakback below this consolidation if I'm doing that. And the Spider and the ES, the ES and the NASDAQ both coming in quite nicely here. That was an aggressive bid on BP. As soon as I kind of stepped away for a couple minutes there, as soon as I sat back down, this ripped up just as aggressively as it pulled back in. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to get out of that one there. Let that one do its own thing. But oh boy, is there some sort of news? I have no idea. But this market is absolutely tanking. Talk about a reversion. Hey yo, Adam Deleuze. You still in this one, bro? I don't know. Like we were talking about the short on the Spider earlier, but this is really coming in now. You can see that Apple's just broken day lows. There, Meta's broken trend. Amazon's back at VWAP. Tesla holding its own, holding its highs. But again, it's been selling off quite aggressively for the past. I guess Friday was an aggressive sell. It's been selling off for a few days now. But yeah, Nvidia holding up quite well. Hasn't really retraced too much of its run up right now. You can see again reflected there in the Nasdaq. It's the ES has done more than a 50% retracement of this bid that we got in the morning. But the Nasdaq kind of getting there, still getting there, it would seem. But yeah, let's see what we have in store kind of coming in here with the selling going on. And Adira was just telling us that Trump is soon to appear to sign some executive orders. So we might get some more shake and bakes on the market once that comes in.
You know, the
starts rolling
volatility is
out
coming in.
some of those orders there. And yeah, we're going to be patient. We're going to try to wait for the next opportunity and accept that we have what we have. It's okay. And let the trade work for you and make those good decisions, because that is more valuable than how you end up on the current day. So that's perfectly fine. Spider coming in to 603 halves right here. What is the opening price? Oh, okay, we're trading below opening price already. 604 was the opening price on the Spider. So I'm going to be curious now whether or not we can get back through that opening price here. You can see an aggressive quadunk here coming in on the ES. But take a look. This is where we caught that bid around that 60 halves area, just above that 60 halves, back through this maybe 60, 75. So this is where buyers kind of were in the morning session there. Let's see if they show up once again at a place where they were. BP seems like it might want some higher prices there. So because that was some distinct action when we failed to follow through, and that was aggressive volume as well. And we got confirmation with the slam down into VWAP. But if we bid back up just as aggressively, again, the reason for the trade is kind of gone. Therefore, my position on the trade is also gone. McDonald's. That was another earnings name today, and that gave us. I mean, if you had it off the open and you were looking for that continuation, oh boy, did it give you that Happy Meal there, MCD. Let's take a look at that one there. So you can see that aggressive pushing. Aggressive bid right off of the open there, pre-market highs getting taken out and giving us 310s all the way from 303.20. So I'm actually curious how clean that was. Okay, so on the minute chart, it's pretty good, but I want to go see on like a 10 or 15 second chart to see if the break was clean or not. Sometimes those breaks come in real nice, and that opening drive really gave you about 5 points off of that push for actually a little bit more. This was 303.20s. Yeah, so that worked out well, but take a look at this. We kind of break that trend. We consolidate. We try to hold this bit of a shelf. You can see every time it comes down to these 307 halves, we bid up, and then we try to make some fresh highs. Not really happening. And take a look at this. Come back into VWAP, and that support turns. Bless you.
Thank you.
That support turns into resistance. And then we trickle a little bit lower here, and we have a bit of tailwind from the market as well, helping that move out. So I'm gonna stay patient, continue watching there. BP maybe gives us more opportunities to reload here. But 603 is incoming on the Spider. What is the day low? Let me just quickly check what that is. If I get on the right screen. So the day low.
73-ish.
Yeah, I got 603.75s. So 603.70s is so 602.70. So we're about half a dollar away from that level. Let's see if this selling kind of gives us some continuation going forward here. So that's what I'm looking at as of right now. Let us know in the chat what you guys are trading. Let's go saying SMCI. I know that one's been on a lot of people's radars here. Again, giving you some solid price action over the past couple of weeks, I'd say, for potential opportunities. And oh boy, look at that. VWAP holding back to back. You can see that the morning action, a little bit choppy, chip chop right there. But once it does break above, it starts to hold above VWAP, and we're getting another leg to the upside. But bigger picture, a bit of a continuation since last week. You can see coming in on, this was Monday right here. So Monday, bit of a break of trend of some of that prior week's action. We get above that prior week's high. I think it was 30 something. Is that Monday? Okay, so 32, I guess, 32, but does break a bit of that trend. 32, take a look at that. Last Thursday, we do distinctly break above that 32 and hold on the bid higher, and now we're getting that continuation coming in on SMCI. Going back to the weekly here, let's take that VWAP off so we can see it a little bit clearly. You can see how nicely we kind of create that base, and you can see a bit of a downtrend here, attempting to break. Let's see if we can get through that $40 mark, just inching up back into it, trading at $39.90 right now on SMCI. But something of note, take a look at that. Bit of a bigger picture downtrend here as well, coming in from those highs from last February. So almost a year we've been selling off on SMCI. Oh boy. feels like it was just yesterday.
Yeah, I know, right? With all the accounting inquiries that they had going on there. But yeah, what we're looking at here, guys, is some NVDA. While the overall market is continuing to sell, we're holding strong above the volume-weighted average price. So if that selling pressure decides to cool off, then maybe NVDA can take that second leg to the high a day. As of right now, I do like the relative strength in it. It feels like sentiment has somewhat shifted in this thing compared to what it was a couple weeks ago. I mean, we know that that DeepSeek news drops down over 17% on the session, losing $700 billion at the top of market cap, but now recovering and now creeping into some key levels here. So I do believe that this thing is strong. I think this strength is going to continue, and I believe on the 26th of February, fact check me there, chat, that NVDA is going to report. So a very much anticipated report here coming in from NVDA. Yes, Pooja Ray, we will take a look at VST. Just please don't spam the chat. Please and thank you kindly. So we will pull that up right now, but first we're going to look at ABNB for my guy Nick W, ABNB, and see what they got going on. So I mean, if we look at this from a daily perspective here, Obi, not necessarily the prettiest looking chart here. A really lengthy consolidation phase. It started in September and seems to be currently going on. I mean, I've never personally, I don't know if I've ordered, like I've booked a Airbnb myself, but obviously we know the popularity in this company, especially when you start traveling around the world or even domestically even. It's a really popular company. I mean, I like it. A lot of people prefer it over hotels, which is really, really key. But again, just from a daily perspective, not the cleanest thing. So I think there might be a little bit more from a fundamental standpoint that you need to dive into and see what's going on, how margins are, how gross bookings are, how they compare to previous quarters as well too. So just keep that in mind. Airbnb, not the prettiest daily chart, but this is something that you would want to construct some credit spread trading on, just because of the range bound, whether it be a condor or either spread like a bull put or a bear call, because you're just so range bound, and if you don't break these key support and resistance levels, you're just going to collect a premium as well too. So keep that in mind. I don't love the daily, but there's ways you can take advantage of that sideways price action, and that's where the power of options comes into play. But let's take a look at NVDA. Are we going to break through this resistance 133 and possibly test? I do like that it did not participate with the overall market. As it continued to sell, we held VWAP really strong and are continuing to do so. So we're going to stick with the strength on that. Now we're going to pull up VST for the individual in the chat who was asking for it and see what we got going on that from a daily perspective as well. Okay, so here, not horrible, OB. I mean, Vista Corp, I'm not too familiar with what they actually do. I'll look into it right now. VST. Oops. VST. There we go. So, is an integrated retail and electric power generation company. The company operates in 6 business segments: retail, Texas East, West, Sunset, and asset closure. The retail segment represents the retail sales of electricity and natural gas to residential, small businesses, and commercial and industrial companies. So, I mean, $56.6 billion market cap, looking pretty good. But yeah, I mean, it's not a horrible stock. Primary trend still seems to be intact. Big gap down here. So I'm curious if this was an earnings call or something along the lines of maybe this was the DeepSeek news as well. But a nice strong recovery, breaches the gap at 157.71 and then fills about 40% of it. So let's see what we got going on from a percentage metric, how much we were up from peak to trough. So about 35% move there and now sitting around 26%. You're going to get the nod from me on this one, even though I'm not overly familiar with it. It's just that from a technical standpoint, it looks good. So why fight that? Continue to participate in the strength and see where that takes you. You always have those risk measures in place too. You don't want to take any outsized losses or anything along those lines. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, we're going to send it off to Adair real quick, guys.
I just want to add some other context on VST. Vistra is especially notable, I think it's notably lately, because it is an AI play in that whole energy space. We know CEG got a boost. VST most actually recently rallied when we had that announcement of Project Stargate, because they're starting Project Stargate off in Texas. As mentioned, VST actually does have a Texas segment, so they're in a very good position to benefit. Then we had that drop there on DeepSeek Monday back on, I believe, January 27th. That was also AI related. So with VST, you really have to remember this is an AI related play, and it will make these moves with these AI tickers for better or worse, guys. Back to you.
Thank you for that. See, there you go. Thank you for that, Dara. So a deeper dive into VST. And I mentioned the DeepSeek from a daily perspective, so it was directly affected by that. And you can see it start to recover, as well as some of the other names, as I've talked about endlessly today. That would be NVDA, and I think it's going to continue to recover. So we'll monitor that. But Obi, what do you got going on there, my friend?
Yeah, I see that AK a couple times asking, Obi, what do you think of ASTS? Oh boy. Talk about some potential missed opportunities. I didn't even know this one was not even on my radar, but look at this beautiful move that we're having on the day today. Look at this opening drive here, continuation, just straight up. It doesn't even take any sort of a pullback or significant pullback until in and around 10:50, 11 o'clock here. It gives us a little bit of a topping action and pulls back to make a lower high as of right now. But taking a look at a higher time frame, you can see that this thing's been running for a couple of weeks here, it would seem. So we can see that what is this, January 29th? We kind of hold some of these lows, break the trend or the downtrend there, and oh, I did not mean to do that. ASTS. I want to see a 30-minute chart on this. All right, so we can see. All right, so this. I like this right here. Actually, what was that right now? That's the spider. Okay, that's an aggressive bid on the SPY. So I want to see if, like I said before, I want to see if it, what it does with opening price. Opening price on the spider is just around 604. We're trading right back up into it. So I've got to keep a close eye on that one there. Yeah, no, ASTS, look at this continuation. You can see beautiful kind of a downtrend here over multiple weeks. You can just kind of take a bit of a trend here. You can see this bigger picture trend, just a rough line, again, not perfect, but kind of giving us an idea of where the pressure is really sitting at. And then look at what happens when we finally do kind of break it distinctly, consolidate above, and then push higher on today. So yeah, bigger picture breakout happening on this ticker, which kind of makes me want to go delve even. Wow, oh boy, that's beautiful right there. So you can see this is kind of a run up here from prior May, and we pull back into what is it, 1770s, and now we're breaking this trend. And look at that. I don't know if they have a catalyst on the day today, but technically this definitely counts as a catalyst for me. Technical breakout of a multi-frame resistance right here. So this downtrend happening since last August, and we've been slowly kind of bleeding out of this push that we had off of the earnings that happened in August there on this ticker AST Space Mobile. But yeah, nice little push with that volume. So continuation happening as of right now. How far will it go? I have no idea, but that next high is sitting just at 36 halves. And then that prior high is sitting at 40.34s, currently trading at 32.13s here on ASTS. Not dropping it down like it used to here all of last year, and now kind of currently breaking that trend and pushing up. So that's the view that I have on ASTS here. I know Sharif likes this one a little bit as well. I've heard him call out the ASTS before. So nice look, nice catch there. Can't have eyes on everything in this market.
That's the thing,
so many opportunities,
right?
Left, right, and center. I can't wait for Neuralink, man. I'm just gonna be like, just have a basket.
I can't
boom,
wait.
boom, boom, boom,
Have you ever seen the movie Upgrade?
I don't think so.
Oh, it's really
kind of like a cyberpunk kind of.
Yeah, it's exactly
vibe.
like that.
Yeah,
so the guy
okay.
essentially gets like a Neuralink implanted in him, and he has to give the program permission in order if he wants to learn something, the program will take over his body. So if he wants to fight kung fu, whatever, he knows it, and then there's people
like
after
the Matrix.
him. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, one of my favorite movies.
It's such a good movie. For those who haven't seen Upgrade, check it out there. So Gaurav, man, I mean, we're in this NVDA here, Obi. You see that volume on the 1 minute really start to kick in. I mentioned this before. We've seen the overall market selling off here. All right, so during this whole sell program, NVDA didn't budge. So I'm like, okay, if buyers step in, if we get that new buy program to step in, then I think that NVDA can start to rip. And sure enough, that has been the case thus far. Are we going to go and test that high a day? Maybe. I'll take it if we do, because this thing is really strong. I mentioned that we might have gotten a flip in overall sentiment. So here we go. NVDA continuing to climb higher. But let's take a look at what we got going on, guys, for some of the top volume stocks this morning. So NVDA in first place, 125 million. And mind you, when I run this, it's stocks that are between $15 and $1,000 with anything over 1 million shares traded. SMCI sitting in second place with 66.2 million shares traded, and Palantir with 58.2 million shares traded in third place. That is, Joseph kind of looks like the dude. No, I don't look like the guy from Upgrade whatsoever. He looks like he kind of looks like he looks like Tom Hardy kind of. But I definitely don't think I look like the guy from Upgrade. The DeepSeek downtrend for NVDA is dead. I definitely agree with you. High of day for NVDA is 100 OB. It's 130, like 135-ish roughly.
I'll tell you right now, 134.84.
Yeah, 134.84. So not necessarily, just a little bit off on that 100 there. But I mean, here we go. Are you still holding on to that spy? Yeah, there's no reason for you. There's no reason for you to get out, I guess.
I mean, like I said, I want to see what it does with 604 opening price. So as of right now, we did knock on the door of 64. We're taking a little 604. We're taking a little bit of a pullback here. So I want more information, right? I do want to potentially continue this trade if it shows me the right stuff. And you can see this consolidation. We talk about that consolidation being over 30 minutes long. And let's see if this consolidation can potentially turn into a little bit of a resistance, which would show us some VWAP resistance as well, right? So if we're not gonna hold opening price on the spider, I kind of like that look for the continuation. But if we hold above, then I gotta get out and reassess here. But take a look at this BP. BP boldly pushing to the upside as it makes some fresh highs here. 34.63s current day high at 64. So let's see what it does with that prior. So this push was aggressive. I was like, oh boy, we're getting through that prior high at 55 pretty aggressively, and we slam right back in with some selling coming in, which I'm like, all right, well, I want to take a stab at that for a reversion to VWAP. It gives me the reversion to VWAP quite nicely, and guess what? Higher low on top of that VWAP, buying pressure comes right back in aggressively, and now we're making some fresh highs. It's a good thing I got out and kind of waited for it to kind of show me whether or not selling's going to step back in. But it seems like the buying, the continuation, the gap up continuation is the trade that is working extremely well as of right now on BP here. So going to be patient for that one there. Looking for the next trade. Again, got the Mag 7 on watch. Meta taking a little bit of a pullback. I don't know if you've observed Meta over the past few days. Absolutely beautiful reversions happening. Aggressive bid wipes the whole move, but still stepping up on the daily. So it's like, all right, bigger picture. We're trending up. I think it's looking for that 750. Wow. I don't know if we're going to get there, but current pre-market highs are sitting at 721.64. Currently trading at 714. So I don't know about that one there.
I mean, how sustainable is this price action without somewhat of a pullback, right?
Well, I don't know. I ask that question. I ask that question all the time. I'm like, oh boy.
It can squeeze. If we're gonna look at a perfect example here, you know what I think I'm gonna pull up here, Obi.
Oh boy.
I mean, at some point, stocks do go up, but at some point
stocks
you gotta pull. Stocks only go up. But we're joking when we say that. But I mean, at some point you're gonna have to take a breath. Yeah. So that's it. But yeah, what else you got going on there, my guy?
Nothing. I'm just gonna watch BP. Throw in the chat what you guys are watching. Zay is talking about Tesla. So yeah, let's take a quick look at Tesla. I know it was holding relatively stronger than the rest of the market a little earlier there, and we're catching a little bit of a bid here on top of VWAP. So let's take a look at that one. On Tesla. So you can see that VWAP on my chart I currently have at 357.84, and current bar low is at 357.78. So I like that. That's a piece of information that I don't know what to do with it right now, but let's see when this bar closes what we have, what Meta can potentially do here. Still about 12 minutes, 12 and a half minutes left for this 15-minute bar to print. And we're taking a little bit of a pullback. Something to keep in mind as well is that the market is catching or attempting to catch a little bit of a bid, like I said before, in and around a similar area where it caught a bid in the morning session. So I do want to respect that. If we're going to make a higher low off of this level, then again, maybe that bounce, that confluence of the VWAP hold on Tesla could provide some opportunity. But again, I'm watching the spider here. What else are you guys talking about? Can we take a look at ELF, says CMR. Earnings day 2, I think, on ELF. I did have it on watch. ELF here looking a little beautiful on the action from last week, but I was looking for that continuation, and today coming in and holding some of those prior days levels, still trading sideways well within its opening range here, it would seem. But yeah, I was looking for that continuation play. It did gap down quite aggressively prior day. Let's take a look. I should have my anchored here. If it'll come in, no, I guess not. Okay, so let's throw that anchored on here and see what we're doing relative to that anchored. So absolutely beautiful. Man, these anchored VWAPs, Joe, I'm telling you.
Love the anchored, eh?
Brian Shannon definitely knows what he's talking about, because shout out to him. And it's almost I want to say, yeah, you know what, I will say it's almost revolutionized my trading in a sense where it's like it makes it easier to look for participants and ideas in certain places where if you don't really have that action, you'll have to kind of look for the bid or the ask to show up in structured form. But if it's happening on the anchored, it makes life a little bit easier there. But again, a lot more nuances involved. With that kind of with the indicator, but I'm really starting to like it. I'm really starting to get comfortable with how I want to use it. 604 is back on the spider here, so let's see what we do. This is the area of interest that again what I'm looking for. Let's see what we do with the 604. I do want to stay a little bit nimble in and around this area, or maybe even look to continue this trade. But if the market kind of rips right back up and we catch, and this ends up being a higher low on the day, I do want to stay away from that. But pushing it back up into VWAP is the spider as of right now. NVIDIA attempting, maybe pushing back towards its highs, trading at 134s right now. Again, just to remind you, high a day is at 134.80, so we couldn't necessarily get up to that 135 area just yet. So here's a bit of a bid coming in on the market. Let's see where that takes us. Yeah, feel free to drop some takers in the chat. We'll be more than willing to take a look at them. And yeah, it's a good reminder. I was looking at Alpha last week, and Alpha was quite nice off of the open there. On earnings day 1. Today is earnings day 2, but we'll be right back after Adara.
Worth noting here, this is not necessarily huge right now, but it's something to be aware of. I'm seeing here apparently on X, Alex Karp here, CEO of Palantir, will be hosting a live Ask Me Anything or AMA on Wednesday, February 12th at 12 p.m. Eastern. So Palantir CEO Alex Karp hosting an Ask Me Anything event, 12 p.m. Eastern on X on Wednesday. I will be following that. Of course, when that happens, I'll let you guys know if there's anything of note there. But just be aware, this Ask Me Anything event will be happening on X in just 2 days, guys. Back to you.
Thank you for that, Adara. Some people in the chat, there's a lot of people chiming in here, Obi, and a lot of names are bringing up QSI. So let's pull up some QSI. I was just reading about it. So Quantum SI Incorporated is a life science company. The company has designed and developed a hardware, consumable, and software solution to provide a solution for protein detection and analysis. It has developed a proprietary universal signal molecule detection platform enabled next generation. Okay, yeah, this is definitely.
So does that mean long or short?
Yeah, right. No, right. That's exactly it. What does that mean? Does that mean long or short? Well, we're gonna pull it up right here. Obi,
see what the sector is doing.
See what's going on with that. It sounds like a mix of things here, but you can see this 5-minute opening drive extremely weak here, as we like to point out, and then you can continue to the south side as it breaks, but now recovering. So you can see that liquidity is somewhat of an issue on this stock here, Obi, from an intraday perspective. So we got to zoom out and see what else we got going on. I mean, if we're going to go from the peak to the bottom here, we're about 64% off those highs, which isn't the best look. Is this thing going to recover? Maybe. We got to dig a little bit more into the fundamentals of the company and if it's successful. So much appreciated with that. Chen gave out, I'll message you on the side there with that question. But let's see what else we got going on here. So the market is starting to recover. The Qs held the volume weighted average price really well, as well as the SPY now turning back towards the top here, the bottom end of VWAP. And I mentioned this before, and I'll say it one more time, is that when the market was selling and NVDA was doing essentially nothing, there was no relative weakness in it. It was strong. It was holding VWAP almost to a penny. And then as soon as the market a new buy program stepped into the market, you see that accelerate NVDA's price, and that's when we started to appreciate. And now we're going to go and possibly test that high day, trading at 134.20s. So a really good look there on NVDA, guys. That is so MNTS, Katina Man. I just seen Katina Man chime in there on MNTS. Let's see what this is up to, and then maybe we'll pull up his chart in a brief second. Where are you in at, Katina Man? 460. Okay.
Nice.
All right.
Go.
I don't know what else. I can't really say too much about that other than he nailed that one. 32% from that point. Really nice look there on MNTS, and Katina Man's been trading it this morning. So nice work there, my friend. $2 club almost, it seems to be the case, and I think it will continue to climb, especially with that. Diamond Hands is right, so there's nothing getting him out of that trade unless his stop loss is triggered. So hold on to those winners and continue to make them as big as you possibly can, and you get that picture perfect trading from Sean himself. So that is the look on MNTS. Let's see what else everybody else is looking at. IONQ. Yeah, we'll pull up IONQ, guys, real quick before we send it back to Obi. And I mean, wow, look at this market today, man. Yeah. Really strong, Obi. A lot of these stocks moving extremely well, with the exception of Apple, unfortunately. But here is IONQ climbing higher. Some key pivots here that I think we need to keep an eye on as we start to form lower highs. Not the best look on that front from an intraday perspective. So maybe that can be your next potential target, is around that 43.50 level on IONQ. But as of right now, looking good from an intraday perspective. Zoom in, and there we go. Primary trend still fully intact here, guys. Off of these September lows, let's see what we got going on from a percentage metric. Here we go. What we're up now, Obi. Wow, over 547%. That's a hefty return. Really, really nice numbers there. But what do you got going on, Obi?
Nothing much. I'm kind of like you did earlier. I was doing a bit of a volume scan as well, just looking at the top volume gainers that I have here on the list. But I think just to address a super chat by Chen, what application are you guys using, and not the TV? So this is our own proprietary application here. This is called P Pro 8, yeah. So it's an in-house trading software that the firm uses. So that's what you're looking at here on our screens. The chart, the level 2s, and the tapes here are all part of that platform. P Pro 8.
The Prosper Pro.
Yes.
Oh. So.
It's proprietary.
Yeah. It's proprietary.
So another super chat here. Where did that go? Ben Weiss saying NKTR Therapeutics up 4% with volume rising. Just hit long-term double bottom area last week. Plus good FDA news today on treatment fast track. Okay, let's take a quick look at that one. NKTR. Let's see how much volume that's doing as well. NKTR. Nectar Therapeutics. Okay, all right. So let's see if this one's been giving us some sweetness off of the open there. It seems like it was doing some significant R vol here in the pre-market, but let's see how much volume it's actually doing as of right now. Okay, so 6 million. Normally averages 30-day volume of 1.7. So that's interesting there, but giving us a little bit of a sideways chop here. So again, I don't really trade tickers kind of with this profile as much, but it seems like, again, we kind of caught a bid off of this low, this pre-market kind of action here, where that bid initially came in the pre-market with the 7 a.m. volume. You can see that 7 a.m. catches a bid in and around, 67.5 pennies. You can see the low of day currently is exactly at that 67 penny mark here on Nectar Therapeutics. So that's a good look there. Again, not really trading that. Chet GPT saying, Joe, you always go long on NVIDIA right when I buy calls, and it gives me more confidence. Writing 110 calls right now. Let's eat. Let's go.
He said he's writing 110 calls?
Oh, boy.
Is that what he said?
Yeah,
And
he's
the
writing
thing
on
is
the 110 calls.
Writing. I thought you said writing.
Oh.
Writing would be you selling those 110s. I'm like, I don't know if you want to be
know.
doing that, my friend. But I mean, here we go. Yeah, starting to climb, man. Told you this thing is strong. That strength is going to continue. I think the sentiment has changed. But one thing that has also flipped here, Obi, and we were talking about it not too long ago, is Tesla. All right, we'll pull up Tesla here. Oh, I wrote in actual okay, I actually spelled it. TSLA, that's good. So let's take a look at this thing here from a daily perspective, all right? So we got to keep in mind here, sorry, 1 second, and see what we got going on. What we can see is these lower highs being consistently formed in this downtrend. All right, now we can possibly make a channel off of this as well too, and see what we got going on from that perspective. Not the most accurate, but that's okay. So we'll look at it like this. Now, at what point do we continue to the south side? Are we going to hold here around 358? What is max pain for all those individuals who are buying all the way up here? Like myself, my average is around 195 or something along those lines. And how much am I willing of unrealized gains am I willing to give up? I mean, I think this thing is still a long-term hold. We know the volatility. It went on this insane run here, Obi, from post-election all the way up here, over 136%. And also printing new all-time highs. With this name comes that volatility. We know that Elon's working alongside Donald, but we know what Donald also brings to the market as well too. Is this thing a buy the dip scenario? I believe it is. Possibly, I know a lot of analysts say that this full FSD and autonomy can bring about another $1 trillion of market cap into this name, which would essentially almost double the stock from the price that it's at right now, which is really, really important. So I know some people have some puts in the chat on this thing, and as well as some individuals that have some calls. So let's see where this thing turns around. I thought that we would get somewhat of a bounce before this here, Obi, as we broke 380s, but as of right now, it doesn't seem to be the case. I think at some point, if we come to the closer to the bottom end of this channel or come within this range, that we're going to get that turnaround price action. So I think it's only a matter of time until Tesla turns around. But again, the report wasn't the best, and I think a lot of this price action is baked in to this full FSD.
Yeah, no, I like that idea, and kind of forward-looking. I really like the concept and where they're going with Optimus. Right, so I think that's definitely a game changer, and I think Elon mentioned that it could be a potential for a $10 trillion bump in their valuations. So I think that if Optimus kind of catches on and it does create a little bit of a wave around the world, I do think that it does have the potential to kind of be like that, right? Because you can have a lot of like repetitive task kind of jobs that businesses usually hire for. That definitely cuts some costs down, as well as like a robot doesn't necessarily need to rest. You might want to
just charge it.
Yeah, charge it up. And then you can have. I think the potential for that is absolutely solid. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie I, Robot, but it seems like we're getting closer and closer to that kind of world here. I don't know if you've seen some of the things that Optimus can do. And another thing, I was talking to some of my friends about this as well, is like, if we're going to Mars, you think humans are going there first or Optimus?
Optimus.
Right? Of course it's going to be Optimus. They're gonna exactly. Chappy.
Right? That's what I want to. That's what I want to get into, man.
I mean, we can talk about uploading consciousness maybe in a few years, but yeah, no, I think we're a little far away from that just as of right now, but exciting times is what I'm looking for here. And Tesla's really paving the way for that kind of technology.
Some interesting comments here, Obi. Optimus is 15 years behind Boston Dynamics.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's fair, but here's the thing. Who is actually trying to push this technology into the hands of businesses and the world? I don't think Boston. I mean, I'm
as
sure
much-
Boston
yeah,
Dynamics
that's
is
fair.
doing great. They're doing amazing research, cutting edge stuff. But here's the thing: some of that technology definitely can be learned from and adapted by other businesses, right? So it's like, if I'm not mistaken, I think that Elon's a little bit of a smart guy. He's kind of proven himself when it comes to that. Again, engineer at heart. But yeah, no, I think more than capable of kind of capturing said market share, and it would definitely be revolutionary. But that's kind of my rant on Optimus. I do like the idea, but when will the price action come in relative to that idea? Who knows? I don't even know what it's going to do tomorrow. So
Valid point. But I can tell you something, and what is doing something right now, Obi, and that's Palantir. A lot of people in the chat here talking about Palantir trading at the top of the range here now. Continuing, what do you got going on there, Katina, man? How much
like,
in the money
where's
now?
it at though?
Where's it at?
What?
He's
today?
waiting.
He's waiting.
Okay, all right. 113.03. He's waiting for this break a high day. I mentioned that. Oh, you're not waiting? No, he's not waiting for it. Okay, he's $2 in the money, so maybe, yeah, I mean, we can wait for the 115.50 break here, Katina, man, with those shares, right? And that would be a really nice look there. But I mean, a couple bucks in the money already, and with the all-time high sitting around 116.31 here on Palantir. I mean, this thing is absolute monstrously strong. Extremely strong, and continues to do so. I thought at some point we were going to turn around here, Obi, but it doesn't seem to be the case. This is just only a breath in this stock's price action, and then now going to go and test that all-time high. I think 1.25 is going to be in this name not too long from now, so only time will tell on that front, and we'll be watching it and be patiently waiting for those opportunities to arise in Palantir. But let's take a look at Google's daily perspective, heading towards the bottom of the range. I'm really curious to think, like, we have these isolated volume signatures here, Obi, and then we have this large engulfing print here, this bearish print. So unless we crack the bottom of this, I'm going to look for somewhat of a bounce play here on Google, and then potentially add into the areas of around 193.14 for that breach of the gap, and then possibly head mid into that gap and go and test 200 again. What do you think about that, my friend?
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely something to watch out for. That ticker has been again an interesting one there, and yeah, I'm looking at Mag 7 currently as well. A lot of tickers kind of looking weak. We got Apple near day lows, we got Alphabet near day lows, we got Softy near day lows. But distinctly different, well, Meta kind of near day lows, but distinctly different is Nvidia about to push day high, is Tesla about to push day high, and Amazon kind of in the middle of things right there. Yeah, that's kind of the main ones that I watch. Again, top 7 kind of tickers there. But BP, oh boy. That thing is pushing to the upside there, kind of aggressive. Sure, I know it's not on everybody's watch currently, but it does have a catalyst, and it's giving some decent moves. It's showing some respectful price action, nothing too crazy, nothing too choppy, but aggressive nonetheless. So I think I kind of like that there. Definitely showing me who's in charge as the buyers take it higher and higher as of right now with the market. Again, the market kind of pulled back since what is this? Since around 11 o'clock. You can see that, yeah, sure, we did pull back a little bit. In and around, 11:30 to 11:54, but the bid catches back on top of VWAP, and we push for some fresh highs here. So let's see, Nick W. with the chat. Love that upstart setup to 95, mirroring Affirm. Okay, let's take a look at UPST here and see what that one is up to. So, okay, so a little bit of a V-shape happening currently on the day. This is a 15-minute chart. We attempt to push that 75 level, 73.80s current day high. Prior day high coming in at 72.40s, kind of breaking back down. But yeah, bigger picture, this thing's been on a bit of a run since last week. You can see a bit of a break in some of this sideways action, and we're attempting to push a little bit higher here on Upstart. I do want to take a look at a higher time frame here on the weekly, but yeah, okay, so it's still within this range that we've made off of earnings. You can see that earnings week, and Sean is telling me that SMCI is doing stuff. Yes, sir. You can see SMCI, a little bit of a push here on SMCI. Wow, that is beautiful. Look at that trend. Oh boy.
Really strong, man.
Yeah, that is a strong.
Obi, look at this.
What's
here,
up?
real quick.
Yes. What am I looking at?
What is number 2 on the list right
Okay,
here?
your top one of your top ideas was SMCI.
Top idea, NVDA. Second idea, SMCI.
Oh, my top idea was Affirm. Would you look at that?
Would we look at that? Would you look at that?
Oh boy. Yeah, no, again, we talk about things that are happening in this market, absolutely wild, absolutely crazy. Lots of opportunities. Again, preparation is everything. If you are prepared for said opportunities and you have the reps that you've put in, it makes it a little bit easier to capture some of these moves. And yes, SMCI definitely repping it up. As you can see, this is a 30-minute chart. You can see we've been kind of holding this trend very, very well. Sure, we kind of violate a little bit of prior bar here on the 11 o'clock candle. Again, market pulled back around there as well, but the bid catches right back on and pushes up higher. Again, giving us the bigger picture kind of continuation that we've been getting since last week on SMCI. You can see the volume coming in as well. This right here at the bottom is my relative volume indicator, and it has a 5-day period. I like to keep it a little short. Some of these anchors coming in from prior events as well. We've pushed up against all of those here, so maybe some aggressive buying. And as Sean is saying, Palantir is about to pop as well. So let's see if we can get past that prior day's high at 116. Again, Palantir was on my watch as well. I was looking for a bit of a pullback into this anchored. You can see that anchored from earnings coming in at that 106 level. You can clearly see I also traded Palantir earnings day one with all of these lines on there. Some of them worked, some of them didn't. It is whatever, but we have been stepping up here on Palantir. A bit of a grab of that prior day's kind of action. We sold off aggressively on Palantir. And again, maybe some profit taking. You can see how aggressively it bid up. It was on Thursday and that continuation that we got on Friday. But by the end of the day, we reversed pretty much all of Friday's price action. And I was looking for that continuation back into that VWAP to look for a potential bid. But look at that. It kind of pushes right back up, holds that 110, and now we're pushing 115s. Current day high, 115 halves. And the market is pushing up a little bit higher as Sean rings that cash register right there. Oh boy.
Ring it. Yeah, ring the
Nice
cash
one.
register. Yeah, SMCI, guys, continuing to climb higher here. So good look there from Katina, man. We got those votes in on the Playmaker as well, too. Obi, over 1,000 votes on that. So really good look there, guys, as well. Thank you for the participation. Much needed. Oh, but there's something that I wanted to bring up as well, too, here. Let me grab it really quick and just show you guys. It was sent to me over the weekend, and the boys were talking about it this morning as well, too. Let's Go Futures is right. But here we are, guys. Go check out the new video. Great quality from these guys. Fantastic stuff. Definitely picking up the game there, and just awful high level of competition from Trader TV with this RSI. Over 6,000 views already, so really good look there on this video, and just the production on it, phenomenal. So yeah, nice work there by Sean, Neil, and Brendo. So yeah, go check that video out, guys, and see how you like it, because there is more to come. But Obi, we got a lot of things continuing to climb higher and higher here. The Qs are starting to recover as well, too, guys, as well as the SPY, something that we need to keep our eyes out on. And SMCI putting in a new high a day. That is one. See, this is where just acceptance comes into play, Obi, and just accepting the fact that, hey, you had the idea, but you didn't execute on it. It's hard, and I think it's one of the hardest aspects to grasp. But here we are. We're sitting here where there's nothing we can do about it. All we can do, as Obi likes to say, is what is the next trade, and look out for the next trade. Leave that behind you and be prepared to execute when the next opportunity arises. You can't be dwelling on something that was in the past and then be forward-looking as well, too. So, Darth Buddha, hey, Joe, what do you know? What do hood options look like going into earnings? Do you see anything interesting? So I was just going to talk on that as well, too. So what we got going on, hood is on Wednesday afternoon. Keep that in mind. So they will report around 4:05 and 4:10. I'm not going to pull up the chain just yet. I don't know if the options market is going to be pricing in that increase in volatility, but when it comes time, we're going to look at the expected move and where the most open interest is on that underlying stock, as well as Reddit too. So I think those are two of those big names after market, Obi, that a lot of people are going to be paying attention to, is Reddit and Robinhood. So we'll keep an eye out on those. We will monitor those to a T and see where those bring us. I can pull up the chain right now, but we're going to have to look at the at-the-money IV just before the report as well. So just keep that in mind. I'll pull it up and see what we got going on for something that is expiring later this week. Hood. Okay, so we got the February 14th cycle up here, guys. And where are we going to see the most open interest? As of right now, I'm not seeing anything outstandish. Wow. Okay, so the at-the-money IV is 143%. So what does that tell us? That you're going to be paying for immense amounts of volatility in this. And I mean, so the options market is pricing that in, and I don't know if I would want to be outright buying contracts that high. I mean, the report is still in a couple of days, so you do have that chance of the increased volatility, but I'm curious as to why it's so high here as of right now. But again, that's what we're looking at. But as for open interest, that 60 strike price has the most. That's not much of a move. We'll take a look at, I'll pull up the expected moves in some of these names as well too, but first we're going to see what Obi's up to.
Yeah, no, this market's kind of pushing a little bit higher here as of right now, so I'm kind of watching that. Again, not really, if you guys kind of follow how I kind of trade. Whenever I have been on the show, you'll know that I don't really kind of look at too many tickers. I have a few ideas, and I have some baskets open just to watch for certain price action that potentially could give me opportunities intraday. But yeah, my main watches as of right now, again, are the ones right here on my chart. I'm watching the markets, I'm watching BP, and I'm watching the spider as well. Kind of redundant, watching the market, watching the spider, but the spider kind of held that VWAP, kind of pushing above this prior highs right there. I want to keep it a little bit tight as we push a little bit higher. If we do break above this this kind of pullback here and go on to make some fresh highs, I do have to keep a little bit tight here. Wow, BP with that aggressive push coming in right here. That VWAP was down at 3440s. We're trading 3470s right now. You got to remember, this thing kind of gives you. I'm starting to like, I guess, mid to lower price tickers a little bit better because of how thick they can be. Sure, higher price tickers can be thick as well, but I think that some of these other thick tickers looking a little bit nicer for some of the things I'm trying to do here. But yeah, that's why I got eyes on BP as of right now. I was watching Intel as well earlier. Again, we saw how strong Nvidia was off of the open, and Intel, oh boy, that thing had been running quite nicely. So let's take a quick look at Intel and see what that is up to as of right now. So I'm going to pull this chart in right here, and we'll go to Intel. So Intel, nice little consolidation above that VWAP, holds that VWAP. Now we're holding some of these levels here. So nice little push up off of that into that $20 level. So that $20 is definitely interesting here on Intel. We make a high of 20.08. Now you got to remember, this is the beginning of the week. We've already clipped a little bit of this this prior level here. And again, chips are quite strong. We can take a look at SMH real quick and see that kind of reflects the kind of action there. We're making some fresh highs. We've held on to that VWAP. Not only that, you look back at it, we're kind of reverting what happened on Friday. That aggressive selling that came in here on Friday, we're almost back at Friday's highs here on SMH. So kind of reverting that move here on this chip sector as of right now. You can see that prior high as well, 251. So this gap down, if I remember correctly, was off of the DeepSeek news earlier last week? On Monday, January 27th, right here. So since then, the high has been 251.46 here on SMH, and currently we're trading at 249.92. So trying to get back above that price. But yeah, again, the sentiment on DeepSeek maybe not as aggressively strong as the market may have put it on that day one of that news, but it seems like we are trading a little bit higher than some of those reference prices. And I'm sure just by looking at the chart, it seems that we held the anchored off of that event, and now we're pushing a little bit higher as well. So how much higher can we get? Do we wipe the whole move and get back up there as if nothing happened? Is the sentiment kind of reversed? I have no idea, but let's let the market tell us what and where we're going to be going relative to that. But that gap down, if we kind of fill that gap, don't forget, NVIDIA earnings is coming up as well.
The
So-
26th. I mean, highly anticipated. I think this is going to be one of the bigger reports. I mean, I think we say that the majority of the quarters, but again, this is. I think this is going to be a big one here, guys. But yeah, let's see what we got going on. I pulled up the expected moves for Hood and for RDDT, and we're looking for about a 10% expected move on the earnings report, guys, in Hood. So a 10.6, so we'll call it 10 even. So that's going to put us around $60 or $50 by when it's all said and done. So that is it. And the at the money IV, I told you guys, was extremely high on Hood. And then we're going to be looking at, let's pull up Reddit as well too, guys. And this one's a little bit more hefty. Over a 12% expected move here, 14.3% expected move here on RDDT for the report. So those are some things that you need to keep an eye out. And then the at the money IV as well is just really, really heightened. And I have to look and see if that's the common narrative in the overall market, because for some reason, some of these names have a really heightened levels of implied volatility. And with that, we know that you're going to be paying an extreme amount of money for these contracts. So let's see what the overall market is looking like as well too. Okay, yeah, so that's relatively cheap. That's 0 days. So we'll go to the end of this cycle. 14 days. No, we don't want that one. We don't want that one here. Let's see, we got the 14th. So, okay, yeah, still around about 19%. So, again, as we recover in the market, you're going to see that volatility step down. But some of these names have immense levels. So just be prepared to pay a little bit more for those contracts if you're looking to construct options trades. But let's see what Adara's up to, guys.
We're going to take our little crypto segment here. And I want to look at XRP. This is the 15-minute chart. As you can see here, a bit of a double bottom, maybe slightly lower low, but generally here, a bit of a double bottom here at that 2.3 area. Why I think XRP could be interesting here is because seeing lots of reports. Apparently, there's some filing showing that NASDAQ, the exchange, has submitted 219B4 forms with the SEC. So basically, these forms are basically submitting for the listing of the XRP ETF and the Litecoin ETF from CoinShares. This does follow CoinShares separately, applying with the SEC to launch its spot-based ETFs for XRP and Litecoin. So CoinShares submitting these applications earlier, NASDAQ also applying for these listings. So we're going to have to wait and see here. But XRP potentially getting a spot ETF, certainly of note. Not breaking news, but something to keep an eye out here. Also, I'm seeing Rumble apparently on the move here. Let me take a look at this. This headline just coming through. Fox News talking about how White House has launched its own Rumble video account as its social media presence grows. So keep an eye on RUM. Apparently, the White House having its own Rumble account. So good look for Canada, I guess. RUM getting its own, or White House getting its own account there on RUM, which, in case you didn't realize, does actually have a connection to JD Vance as well. His firm, Naria Capital, invested in them quite a few years ago, around 2021, guys. Back to you.
For that, Adara, oops, that's not the one. We're not going to find it here. There we are. Okay, so Darth Buddha. So UVIX back to bottom of its range. You need VIX to pull back to lower IV. I think the data you shared says being an option seller might be a better play. How to correctly sell volatility. Yeah, so let me read that one more time here. I think the data you shared says being an option seller might be a better play. How to correctly, exactly, Darth Buddha. And that's something I'm going to be touching on as well. We know that with heightened premiums, again, I'm not saying that volatility has peaked, but we are through the majority of these Mag 7 names as well too, right? With the only NVDA left on that list. So you're not going to get those immense market movers coming in on their earnings report. And then there's ways that we can take advantage of this volatility, this heightened in volatility. And that's where I'm going to utilize where we can look at the put to call ratio and then also the VIX as well too, right? So we can correlate those, check overall market sentiment, and then say, hey, what is this? Is this a seller's or a buyer's market via options? And then we can look into that and see, hey, what is the best system? And that's kind of a reason why I decided to do credit spreads part 1 and 2 is because of the overall market sentiment, all right? So, yeah, Stevenson, I mean, am I saying, is it Stevenson or Stevenson? I'm assuming it's probably Stevenson, but I know a couple of Stevens. So
really,
yeah, you know.
I've never heard of Stevenson.
You never heard of a Steven before?
No, I had a couple buddies Stevenson. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a buddy Steven. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we always
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to make fun of him a little bit, but that's all right. That's all right. I mean, So yeah, here we go, Obi. SMCI possibly topping out here. The Q's in the SPY possibly going to test the high day as well too. Hood is pulling back. What do you got going on?
Yeah, no, I'm kind of watching the spider kind of come right back into that 605. So we did hold that 604. I got a little bit more in at the 604 halves, but it's looking like it's not really working too well as the market pushes back up towards its highs. So I think I'm going to kind of watch it for a few more minutes and see if it kind of trickles up a little bit higher. I'm going to be more than done with this ticker. Again, I got what I wanted. I got the reversion to VWAP off of the break of trend, and it gave you a little bit more. So I'm happy about that. I think I did well, kind of capturing that piece of the move, covering a lot where I had targeted to, and then leaving on a little bit there. But this little bit of an ad, a bit of a cheeky ad there. But just going to be patient, watch what it does. Like I said, that 604 price I like a little bit better. But again, if we're going to make a lower high here on the Nasdaq, you can see that we have been making lower highs. I want to see if this kind of breaks and pushes, and then the ES kind of goes as well. Obviously, the SPY is going to be above 605 if that happens, but I'm just going to wait for that if that happens there. You can see Van Eck. We were just talking about that one, SMH. I got it up here, pushing that 250 mark as of right now. So you can see 250, nice little pull back up. Again, prior day high sitting at 250.48, only about 50 pennies away on SMH. So the chip sector catching a little bit of a bid. And again, got to reiterate that NVIDIA, how strong NVIDIA is today relative to some of these other names. They're a beautiful hold of that VWAP, beautiful push back up. But yeah, that opening drive, oh boy, that was a bit of a break of that 30 mark. We talk about kind of pulling back into levels that were marked after the DeepSeek incident. And you can see here, I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. This was that. Again, Monday 27th. The high that we made here on NVIDIA was in the pre-market session, 130 halves. Guess what? Coming in right off of the open, that opening drive gives you about 4 points off of that 130 mark. So if you were kind of watching that and looking for a bit of a shift in the sentiment that NVIDIA has been showing us, you can see that a bit of a break of wow. Okay, I got to take a lot of those off, but you can see a bit of a break in trend happening here on prior Wednesday. So a lot of lines on my chart. Again, mostly used for intraday. Some of them I got to delete. Some of them I like to leave on because I feel like they hold a higher weight than others. But let's see if we fill that gap. That gap is not that far away, man. 142s. If we can get to 142s, that's the it's fruit salad time. Okay, SMCI long, saying Sean. Okay, all right. So wow. Okay, so yeah, this thing continues to go up. So nice little melt up here on SMCI, buying those pullbacks, saying Sean, absolutely beautiful there. You can see how cleanly it's been holding trend. Only bar that is, I guess, in my opinion, not as clean as the 11 o'clock one, but then this is a 30-minute chart, and then continuation happening there on SMCI. Yeah, a lot of these tickers continuing to the upside here as of right now. Pretty Panda in the chat saying, so today's baby was CLF. Easy entry in the open and clean slingshot at VWAP a bit after 1800? So 18, you mean 6 p.m.? Okay, so after Trump had his fun last night, small cap steel felt like a given today. Yeah, no, again, steel definitely was on watch for me as well. And I guess, Cleveland Cliffs is CLF, and let's see what that one is up to as of right now. Oh boy, yeah. So yeah, that thing is running as well aggressively. High a day at $12. So we did pull back off of the open and a bit of a hold at what seems like, okay, so a little bit above, a little bit below VWAP, but it reclaims and pushes back up through that. So that was one of the names on watch. I also had NUE, Nucor Corporation as well, not really giving us that kind of a bid as of right now. Again, another related name for the news, but it seems like news being taken quite well on CLF on that steel news. So going to keep an eye on some of these tickers, but yeah, nice job kind of getting involved with some of the in-play tickers on the day. Definitely President Trump bringing in some great opportunities for those who are willing to wait and kind of watch for said news. So like steel, we know steel is hot as well. We know AI. He said that America is going to be the capital for AI as well.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, With the amount of CapEx spent, I would hope so. With billions and billions of dollars being spent, I mean, what do we have? Amazon spending 100 billion, Meta spending 75, Google spending 70, whatever it may be. I would hope with that CapEx spend, with that AI spend, that you're going to be at the top of its class. So, I mean, I have big dollars, and that's why we had that big sell-off. Is China comes out, says they make DeepSeek for $6 million and change, whatever it may be. I mean, I don't know if you can necessarily take that at face value.
That was shown to be like obviously a little bit fugazi. Yeah. There were definitely more costs involved, and I think the price action is showing us how the market is taking that. Obviously, overreaction on the initial push, consolidation, a bit of a reversion happening as of right now. I think the reference to that drop is going to be very interesting if we get that.
I think very, because I think at this point, so we've seen NVDA start to recover. I'm not going to be surprised if it goes all-time high on the earnings report, right? Like at that point, down 17%, right? Okay, so everybody's buying. Everybody is like, okay, at this point, you got to get involved in this stock, and I think that's going to be the case, especially if they smash it out the park as they have been for the previous, I don't know, 8-12 quarters. So the past couple of years at least. So I do think that thing's going to be an all-time high. We're in at 118, 119 on that thing, so working really well for us. We like that trade. Yeah, exactly. We like that trade. Well, we know where Brankel's is sitting on, so really nice. Yeah, boy, that deserves an oh boy for sure. But yeah, guys, let's take a look at what else we got going on for earnings this week. You know, Adara has dropped the infographic as well too, so go check that out on Trader TV, the Twitter. And you can get all that macroeconomic data information that you need, what days each event is going to happen, and then as well as the earnings reports too. But I mean, what else do we got here, Obi? On what day is this? Tuesday after the close. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. Tuesday after the close, guys. We got Supermicro, MSCI, UPST, Dash, and Lyft. I think those are the four big names a lot of people are going to be looking at. We know Lyft was trading higher this morning. Uber is absolutely huge right now, so we can see, yeah, exactly. There you go. Dip buys from Katina Man. You see this monstrous engulfing run here on Lyft, and then Uber as well too. We'll take a look at it because I'm sure that they will be affected by each other's reports. But here we go, starting to climb higher, not too far off of that high a day here, Obi, starting to push towards it as the momentum in the overall market seems pretty strong. Let's see if it can continue to move in the northeast and then possibly put in that high a day. But what we possibly got going on here as well too, Obi, is a potential double top here on NVDA. We bounced off a VWAP really nice, but as of right now, having the inability to construct a new high, I think if the market joins this trend, if Google looks to recover, I think it'll drag NVIDIA up with it. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm going to be waiting and watching. I think that NVIDIA's on a nice run, again, pushing past that prior consolidation high as of today, right off of the open, right? So that's definitely some strong action there. Let's see if we get that continuation. Again, we got to have a little bit of market tailwind as well. But the question becomes, it is NVIDIA. So if NVIDIA starts getting an aggressive bid, the question becomes, does the dog wag the tail or does the tail wag the dog? I have no idea, but I'm going to wait for that price action to come in here. Now, I did like that you mentioned that the Trader TV research graphic that we had that's been posted a little bit earlier today, and I just want to go through that just to take a look. Okay, you know, it's a midday session. Things are moving, but I don't really see anything too crazy in terms of my playbook as of right now. So I'm going to go through this through this earnings calendar for the week, and let's see what some good days are here. I know McDonald's I was watching for today didn't really give us anything too crazy. I know that Shopify is going to be interesting. SMCI after hours tomorrow. There. Okay, I got to get out of this spider as it comes back into this. So thank you. Come again. Got out of that spider again. Pushing back up into 605s. Didn't really add anything too crazy here. Knowing that, okay, I know I'm a little bit wrong here, but like I said, cheeky little ad. If it goes through that 605, I'm gone. But again, if it comes right back in, I'm more than willing to get involved again. Again, the futures, you can see that ES coming right back up in. Let's see if we get to that 6,100 on the ES. But yeah, later on this week, CVS, I like that one there. Reddit, of course. Robinhood and Cisco, that's going to be interesting. That's Thursday. Thursday is going to be day one for those. And then Datadog as well. Crocs. I don't know. Do you wear any Crocs?
No, I've never.
I know they sell a lot of.
I've never owned a pair of Crocs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
Have you?
No, I don't. I think.
Why you gotta say no like that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My siblings wear those. But they sell well.
They
right?
sell. I
They
mean,
sell
like
well. So I was like, something to watch out for.
You go cottage country. Everybody, it's like in the morning. You just toss your Crocs on, and then you go running about. But yeah. We're gonna send it off to Adara real quick, guys.
You just be aware here, Western Union taking a bit of a tumble here, WU with volume, saying that they're going to be suspending their Cuba transfers indefinitely, citing U.S. state sanctions. So due to some U.S. sanctions, apparently we have Western Union announcing the indefinite suspension of their Cuban transfers. That is WU. Back to you.
Wow. Okay. Do you say you said Cuban transfers there, Adara?
Yes.
Okay. That's
so
interesting.
we kind of know where that's going.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, not over to Cuba, apparently. But I mean, when I was reading my book this weekend.
Nice. What are you reading?
It's called Bubble of Revolution. Okay. I can't remember the authors, but it's someone who worked for Meta, Google, and Apple as well too. But they were just kind of elaborating on the cost of sending money around the world internationally and the benefits of like stable coins and Bitcoins because of the transaction fees. Yeah. So there you go. If you're trading or you're moving currency via stablecoins, Tether, or some cryptocurrency, you have nothing to worry about Western Union eliminating those transfers all the way to Cuba because you can just do it peer-to-peer now, right? Okay. So
I mean, it's getting some volume here. As soon as I was like, due to sanctions, I'm like, all right, I got to pull that one up. Bit of a continuation off of yesterday. When I say yesterday, Friday's action. Friday, we pretty much opened at the highs. I should probably pull up the ticker if I'm talking about it. But yeah, Western Union, you can see Friday already kind of, oh boy, okay, all right. So earnings, it kind of cracked that earnings trend right off of the open there. So earnings was last Wednesday, earnings day one. You can see a nice little bid up here on Western Union. Oh boy, is the SPY really gonna clip me like that? Okay, I'm gonna be a little bit more patient for that one there. Sending it all the way down on Friday, and now we're getting a little bit of news. Let's see if we get that continuation here. Currently holding day one lows from earnings last Wednesday on Western Union. So thank you, Dara, for that one. That's a good look there. So $10.51 or 57 cents currently trading at. It's doing about 1.89 million current volume. Not really close to the average 30-day volume, coming in at 5.34. But let's see how that one ends off its day here. So the market taking a little bit of a pullback as of right now. So I'm gonna have that one on watch. So, but yeah, just to finish this off right here. At the end of the week, I like DraftKings, Coinbase, Airbnb. These are all potential opportunity tickers if they set up the way I'm looking for. I think they're definitely more than valid for providing good opportunities. And of course, a Moderna on Friday. Can't forget, Wednesday, CPI, PPI on Thursday as well. So I really like this graphic, kind of all the information all packed into one place here. Don't really have to go to multiple resources to get this information. So that's on Trader TV Research. But yeah, I'm going to be waiting for a pullback on the spider if it'll have me. If not, that's perfectly fine. Where is the next trade? I'm asking you guys as well. Where's the next trade for you guys? What are you guys hunting for? What are you guys watching? What's lining up for your potential playbook? I want to know. You can choose to tell me or tell us or not. It's up to you.
But AVGO is really
AVGO, yeah, another chip. So I'm sure that one's a little strong with SMH pushing higher as well. Yeah. Wow, look at that one. Yeah. So pushing, and similar story to SMH, right? Prior day high coming in here. Prior day high on Broadcom at 235.75. Currently trading at 235.30. So yeah, with this market bidding back up. Wow, look at that push on the ES and the Nasdaq. So yeah, the short was there while it was, but we catch a little bit of a higher low and pull right back up into the highs. So let's see what happens. I'm not really looking at too much else as of right now, but if something shows up, I'm more than willing to get involved. So I'll just be waiting and watching you guys in the chat to see what you guys are watching. People still talking about ASTS and ELF. We kind of took a look at those as well. People are talking about CLF as well. Again, we just talked about how these steel tickers are on watch, and CLF breaking through that $12 mark currently as we speak. They're very confluenced with that market tailwind as well. So strong idea on CLF. What do you got going on?
Yeah, just sitting here in NVDA here, Obi, still, and seeing what the chat is up to. A lot of people are talking about Clean Spark and A-Lab. We can take a look at those for sure. I mean, you can see this opening drive here on Clean Spark. A pretty strong session a couple days ago on Friday, but then just went into chop mode, and it's kind of reflecting the same type of price action here today. We are forming higher lows, but we're also forming lower highs as well too. So we got to keep that in mind. Price starting to compress. That 5-minute opening drive puts in a really strong doji candle here. So that's something that you want to be aware of. The genuity in that print may be a little bit misleading because the sellers did win that candle essentially, but then look how far they push price down and then push it back up. And then now we're kind of just trading within this range here. But that's Clean Spark. Let's see what they got going on from a daily perspective. And yeah, it's kind of mimicking the intraday here. For trading in this range, not something I would necessarily look to be partaking in for a swing trade, but this is more along the lines of when you're starting to establish credit-based trades, okay? Let's see what else everybody else is looking at. Nimrod, CYM, for sure. Let's take a look at CYN for you. Sorry, I missed one more super chat. We'll get to that. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this one. It's something I wouldn't necessarily look to be trading. I can see what they do for you briefly. CYN, is that the ticker? CYN. Yeah. And let's see what these guys are up to here, Sharif. Yeah, maybe we can't because it might be something that we don't have necessarily access to. We'll try one more time. Okay, yeah, so I'm not going to be able to pull that CYN up for you, but here it is from that daily perspective. Doing all right, but off those all-time highs. Not a company I would necessarily looking to get involved, but then again, I don't necessarily what they were doing. But we got our guy here, Obi, Swoldemort.
I love that name.
Yeah, Swoldemort. Yeah, Swoldemort. Yeah, it's funny. Someone in the chat said Swoldemort, and then his friend is Harry Spotter.
Oh, that's nice.
That's
I like
a good
that.
one. You get that
that's
one.
That's a good one.
That's a good one here. MSTR launched STRK. Perpetual pref shares that convert to common, 10-to-1, 9% dividend. STRK at 89 implies an 889 MSTR call strike. Thoughts on credit spread using long STKR, short 900 MSTR calls. Swoldemort. Okay, off of that top of my head, yeah, I can't just give you a straight up answer with that. It's a little bit more complex, and I would have to read and we'd have to talk about that. But I mean, if you're looking to play MSTR, then you may as well just be looking to get involved in spot because we know that strategy now is essentially just mimics what Bitcoin is up to, with the exception of that previous run it just went on, which was like kind of squeeze like action. So a lot of shorts being squeezed out of that, I believe. But again, if MSTR, I'm not going to be looking to trade MSTR as a vehicle. I'm going to just go with IBIT or Bitcoin itself. But we can look a little bit more into that, Swoldemort. But what do you got going on there, Obi?
Nothing much. Kind of taking a stab here on BP once again. I guess it got pretty close to that 35 mark. Couldn't really get there. Bit of a toppy action there, but again, still well within trend. Trend could decelerate and then continue as well, taking us through that 35. But yeah, taking a little stab here. See if it'll have me keeping it pretty tight. But let's see if the market pulls back as well. 605s couldn't really get through just yet on the spider. Let's see if that can come in here. We're trading right under it there. So I'm looking for this this high on the ES to kind of crack just underneath, what is this, 60.90, I think just above 60.94s, 95s is the high on the ES. And let's see if we can get above that mark, currently trading just at the 60.90 mark. So I'm going to stay a little bit patient to see what that one brings us here. But other than that, I'm watching Tesla kind of chop around that VWAP. Apple's still consolidating near its lows, so that thing isn't really bouncing with the rest of the market. You can see both the ES and the NASDAQ pretty much recovered near their highs. We're trading well within the upper quartile of this morning action here. And Apple, oh boy. We're kind of, oh, by the way, that CYN, I looked at it, they're into a development of autonomous driving software. Okay. So that's what they're up to there. But yeah, no, what was I, Apple, right? Apple, so Apple consolidating near lows. So look, distinctly different from the rest of the market here, as the market is clearly catching a bid, but Apple not so much. So that's an interesting look there, a bit of a failure to follow through of that 230 mark. On Apple right off the bat. So let's see if this, okay, so BP catching a little bit of a sell. Let's see if that can come back into that VWAP. Here, VWAP, I got sitting all the way down at 34.47. So I don't know if it's going to get all the way down there, but let's see if we can get a little bit of market tailwind to give us some push there to back to the downside. But some of these tickers, again, looking distinctly different. Another thing about in-play tickers is that, sure, sometimes they can follow the beta, but sometimes they also disconnect as well. So I like to look for that disconnect. I think that's very valuable information as well, maybe potentially putting people offside if we're kind of following the market, and all of a sudden you have that a disconnect of the beta there. Again, beta being like, how well are you following the market on a given day? So let's see if BP comes in. Maybe we're just taking a little bit of a pullback just to bid right back up, right? Let's see how that price action takes us. But we're taking a bit of a pullback here off of 605s as well. Do we consolidate above this prior structure, above 604.40s? I have no idea, but I'm going to give it some time and wait for that to happen. Wow, Apple this is a 30-minute chart, bro. Look at that, kind of pushing back down to the downside. Day low currently on Apple, 228.24s. Let's see what that'll bring us right after we get back from Madeira.
We're going to do here, we're going to take a look here at Palantir and its market cap gains year to date because it's pretty significant. We know that last week it had quite the epic week. And this surged into now one of the top 50 companies, actually one of the top 40 companies in the S&P 500 by market cap, over a $250 billion market cap. So let's contextualize that a bit. So year to date, we had Palantir closing 2024 around $172 billion in market cap. It's gained $80.23 billion since then as of Friday's close. And so that is the combined market caps of 11 of the smallest market cap S&P 500 companies. So FMC, Bog Warner, Huntington Ingalls, Celanese, Caesar, Mohawk, Market Access, Paramount, AES, Teleflex, Charles River, and roughly 20% of the market cap of Lamb Weston. So that is 11 1/4 companies worth of market cap that Palantir has gained so far year to date. Pretty impressive look there for PLTR. And again, in case you missed it, mentioned earlier, Alex Karp, CEO of Palantir, is set to do an Ask Me Anything or AMA on X at 12 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. So good look here for PLTR so far this year, guys.
Thank you very much. Yeah. PLTR, man, it's going to stay on watch, and it's been doing quite well. Right, on the yearly.
Quite well.
Yeah, quite well.
I think that's somewhat of it. It's doing extremely well.
What's the CEO's name again? The guy with the cool hair.
Alex Karp.
I remember when he was like, "I don't care what the stock price is doing. He believes in the company." And I was like, "Yes, let's go." And you can see, like over time, they just keep getting government contracts one after the other. And we were talking about like how the emphasis on some of these defense tickers is going to be, and you can see the price action on Palantir kind of reflecting some of that sentiment of the market, kind of showing us what it thinks about that. So Palantir, very, very strong. It's making its way up into the ranks, as Adair just pointed out, of the big boys there. So it's a good one to keep on watch there. So the Palantir, as of right now, taking a little bit of a pullback. 114 is coming back in. So testing the low of that range. So it's a good thing we got some attention to this name right here. So if we kind of fail to follow through past some of these highs, prior day high coming at 116.29, whereas VWAP's all the way down at 113 as of right now. Let's see, market, you're going to catch a little bit of a sell? I have no idea, but that's what I'm looking for. If Palantir gets down to that 113, maybe it gives us another chance to reload because the buyers were quite strong right off of the open today. So something to keep on watch there. But other than that, I got again, we talked about that Mobileye and Lyft news in the morning. Those tickers kind of just sideways as of right now. The bid kind of dissipated on Mobileye. We're still trading with a high day right now, 19.18, and that 18.69 currently trading at on Mobileye. So a little sideways chop there. Lyft caught a bit of a bid, but bigger picture, we're still trading much lower than that opening range high as of right now on Lyft. So it didn't really stand up to its name right off of the open there. But NVIDIA,
yeah,
about to push those fresh highs.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're looking at here, Obi. I showed Obi here idea number 1 and 2, and that was NVDA and SMCI, continuing to climb higher, up over 3.5% on the session here. Really, really strong stock today, guys. And someone else in the chat mentioned we're on 5 consecutive green days now. I heard people talking about like 15 consecutive green days on Meta, but here we are with NVDA now breaching this gap to the top side. Nice dip by fill here, and then now into this range. I do believe that this thing is going to recover and then go all-time highs. It's just, I've seen it happen too many times. Can my timing be off? Absolutely. But with this report coming by a couple weeks anyways, was it not next Wednesday, the following, I believe it is, the 26th, I think this thing is going to go touch all-time highs. A lot of analysts have that $200 price target on NVDA. We're trading at 134 right now, 27 times forward, still relatively cheap. I think that this thing recovers, and it's going to recover with extreme and immense force, climbing higher today on the session, Obi. But let's take a look at Palantir now. Starting to come in really strong. I mentioned that it had the inability to construct a new high. So pulling back now, this pivot level is going to be real crucial. If we break it to the downside, then maybe VWAP might be your next target. But again, you don't want to be fighting extremely strong stocks like that. Wait for that setup to display itself, read the time and sales, and then make transactions based off of that and your trade setup as well too. Dewey, thank you, appreciate that. Yeah, we're in on NVDA. Going to continue to stay in on it. Brankles is telling me 150. I don't know if I have diamond hands like that, Obi, to hold to 150.
Oh, it wants
but,
that 150.
It wants that, and I know. I mean, I'm talking about 200 on this thing, but I think you're going to have to hold it for some time. Yeah. This is my swing account, so, I mean, by all means, I've held IBIT for a better part of a couple months as well. Just turning shares on that one, selling at highs, reloading at the lows, and just recycling shares. I think that's going to be the case here with NVDA. Maybe we trim a little bit here, look to add at any form of pullback before the earnings report, and then look for that continuation in strength. So let's see what else everybody else is up to. Let's see what everybody else is up to here, guys. Put some tickers in the chat here. We have Dewey, who's in on NVDA as well too. Siren Industries, Qualcomm ain't moving at all. Let's take a look at QCOM here. See what got going on for everybody. Yeah, really tough range here on QCOM so far today. Obi coming back into the volume-weighted average price. And I think that's one thing that you want to keep an eye out on. When the overall market is trading higher and then your ticker, whatever you may be lagging, there's probably a specific reason. And then this is where we zoom out and just see the current sentiment in Tesla. So we had the SPY, the Qs, and a lot of these big tech names moving to the top side, and Tesla wasn't participating. That can signal a possible sentiment change. And I think that's going to be the case here for the short term in Tesla.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Again, we talk about as traders, you have to have kind of a probabilistic perspective. So I have no idea what NVIDIA is going to do tomorrow, but if we can fill that gap from DeepSeek, then I do think the probability of reaching 150 does increase. So I think that's it's pretty, again, just an opinion. But again, I think if we kind of revert some of that move, I think the continuation is going to be nice. Definitely catching some players offside that are still, very gung-ho about DeepSeek kind of taking down NVIDIA. There's definitely players like that. And if the price action shows us, then there definitely could be a little bit of offside pressure that does come in and gives us that tailwind back up into that 150. But only time will tell. Let's see how we do on earnings there as well. But I can't forget, bigger picture, we are in a very strong uptrending market. right? And if some of these and market leaders are gonna come and go, right? I was kind of looking at some old charts during the dot-com boom. GE was near the top of the charts,
yeah,
right? GE kind of making its way back up there, to be honest. Well, not top of the markets, but top, kind of recovering to some of those prior prices from the early 2000s as well. But you can see a little bit of a cyclicality in who really leads the market. But you compare that to the spider itself, and I think the spider itself is a great example of the phrase "stonks only go up." So with the way they're kind of structured, they kind of kick out the worst performers, they bring in the best performers, and we're only making more and more money, more and more margins over time. Well, when I say we, I mean those companies. Yeah, so I think the spider is a great indicator of that progress there that we're currently having. But we'll see. Time will tell. I have no idea.
Time will tell. I like that you pointed that out there, Obi. Is that if you're not performing in the S&P or the NAS 100, you'll get booted, and then they'll bring in another company as well too. So again, just to refer to Obi's stocks only go up, but when you have the 500 best companies just cycling through this index here, eventually you need the top performers in there, and this is how it's showcased, right? So here we are, monstrous run, back-to-back 20% years.
Take a look at like a 3-month chart.
Yeah, so
right?
we'll
It's like
zoom
that
out. Yeah,
that gives it to you really
more perspective. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Like that's COVID.
Yeah, exactly.
It's COVID.
This
Like
is COVID
are we
yeah.
having a bigger panic than that? Maybe. Who knows?
Right now?
No, I'm saying right. People are like, oh, you know, there's always kind of perma bears saying markets are going to crash, but it's like
At what point though?
exactly. I mean, short term maybe, but
I think that's yeah, and I agree with you on that, Obi. I think that's where you
Anything can
dive
happen.
into like such a deeper conversation. Is like, do you think America is going to allow its banks to crumble? Is it going to allow its top performing stocks to not perform? They're going to put in those regulations that they need to do so. But guys, we got some bills to pay here. eSignal. Trade smarter, not harder. Upgrade to an elite trading experience. Analyze, strategize, capitalize. Foresee profitable opportunities with the platform you need. Infinite data, instant trading. Know where the market is moving before others with lightning fast data. Charts that change the game. Customize and analyze markets faster your way. Better backtesting and scanning. Predict the future by understanding the past. Reliable, real-time data, up-to-the-second market info from hundreds of global markets. Everything you need all in one place. Don't miss a beat. Execute your best trades now. Ready to elevate your trading? Scan the QR code or check the link in the description there, folks. But yeah, very valid point there on the overall markets there, Obi. I couldn't agree more. But what else you got going on? Oh, you're still short BP?
Yeah, I'm still kind of watching it there. It's broken trend, kind of trickling a little bit lower. We talk about that prior intraday high sitting at 34.64, currently trading at 34.66. Okay, so we're coming right back up into that prior high. That high came in with some volume, and like I said, I think it was a good reason for a quick scalp there, and it gave it to you right away. So the sellers kind of stepped in, but again, we break that, we push all the way up to 35s, and then we can't really get through to 35. So let's see what we do. Does that resistance at 64 now turn into support? Well, I'm finding out right now. I'm kind of watching the tape to see if anything distinctly different shows up here on 64. So let's see. Okay, this is NVIDIA here, so that's not what we want to look at. So let's take a look at this together. I'm going to pull up BP on this tape so you guys can join along and see and observe what's happening here. Let's also throw on a little bit of a size filter so we can see it highlights anybody who is posted with above 100 lots. So yeah, let's see, 65s on the bid, 66s on the ask, so only about a 1 penny spread currently, so nothing too crazy going on right now. So let's see if this support turns into resistance. Market's taking a little bit of a pullback here as well. That aggressive bid, these are 15-minute charts. That aggressive bid, we got our first red 15-minute candle. Let's see, currently there's about 5 minutes left on this 15-minute candle to print. Let's see how this one ends up there. Do we close red or green? I have no idea, but I'm looking for a little bit of tailwind here. And if that can confluence with the breakdown of 34.64, then I like this position a little bit better. Affirm coming back down on top of its VWAP right now. So VWAP has been holding since about, what is this, 11:45. So let's take a quick look at that one here. So AFRM. You can see beautiful hold of that VWAP, nice little clean consolidation. Do we get a breakdown or a breakout? I have no idea, but what the information on the chart right now is showing me that the VWAP is being held. There's clearly some sort of support at VWAP as of right now since about 11:30. So let's see if that can give us some information there. Other than that, not really watching anything else too hard. Tesla's coming back into VWAP as well. Lyft is dropping, ironically, and McDonald's bidding right back up. So, oh boy, this continuation. McDonald's, I was kind of looking at this one over the weekend, kind of saying that, remember McDonald's kind of gapped down off of their, was it the E. coli news? Just a few weeks ago. And I'm like, all right, well, has sentiment shifted? Do we kind of break back above? If you look at a higher time frame here, this is a 3-hour chart. You can see that gap down or that push down happening here in and around October 22nd. The highs that we made were 303s. Coming in on the day today, guess what? We print and hold above those 303s right off of the open. So breakout of pre-market highs happens in and around that 303. That high is 303.19 in the pre-market. That opening drive gives you that 303 and goes all the way to 310s. Oh boy, and now we're getting a little bit of that continuation happening as of right now. So very strong trade here on McDonald's opening range, kind of a breakout there. And maybe we get that continuation going into the end of the day if, again, that sentiment kind of reverses. So I have no idea whether it has or not, but I'm going to let the market kind of tell me and show me for that one. But off the open, it definitely showed you some strong action there on McDonald's there. So not really watching anything else too much. NVIDIA high a day, I definitely want to keep on watch there. If that kind of cracks, maybe we do get a push up there. But other than that, nothing too crazy as of right now. Tesla breaking its consolidation lows right now as well.
To the downside there.
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, a lot of people in the chat were talking about Coke. And we were just talking about McDonald's, like KO.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not the other. Yeah, KO, Coca-Cola here. I should have been clarified that a little bit more. So, I mean, I don't know, Obi. I don't know how you feel about this, but how much effect does these GLP-1s have on companies like this? I don't know if you're in Coca-Cola for the stock appreciation or just like the dividend, right? We know this is Warren's one of his largest holdings, I think, still at some point, but he just made a fortune off of collecting dividends via Coca-Cola. So I think that's the case here. And from a McDonald's standpoint, we know that they had those value meals coming in. I don't know how long those last. I remember a couple years ago, Obi, they redid the Big Mac. They put in like a thicker patty, but then a couple months later, I'm pretty sure they just went back to the original patty, and it looks the same. Like, okay. I'm personally not a McDonald's guy. I don't go there. But I mean, I think these GLPs
cuts those gains, eh?
Yeah, well, obviously, man, yeah. you can't be eating that stuff all the time. But I mean, I don't know how much GLP-1 has affected names like this, like Pepsi. Pepsi has been battered as well too. Coca-Cola, not too bad, more of a dividend stock. But then McDonald's as well. This is from a weekly standpoint. Sorry, guys, we'll zoom in from a daily. But a nice recovery here, which is really, really interesting. I have to dig a little bit deeper into the report. I know Adara was talking about it, so I missed out on some things. But I mean, wow. Now that I look at this, Obi, I had this planned for something a while ago for gap fills because I have a gap fill thesis and a trade book. But look at this open right into the breach of that gap, and then now filling up the majority of it. So from a swing standpoint, that looks really good. You don't want to be buying contracts today because it did report and you'll be paying heightened premiums for that. But just let that cool out. If it continues in that strength, then maybe take it to the top side and play that all-time high break. But Tesla is starting to break through some key support levels here as well, Obi. Breaking that pivot on the daily right here, and then now punching through the volume weighted average price. Momentum starting to pick up a little bit in this name to the downside. So, I mean, I was just looking at the earnings report, and I don't know how much weight we can, well, not Tesla's earning report, but just kind of comparing on how many quarters they've beat in previous, right? So out of the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 out of the past 7 quarters, they've only beaten on 2 of them, which is, I mean, that's just being really, really vague on that. So earnings miss a couple quarters ago, a lot of earnings miss. They did beat on revenue one time. So again, they reduced the price of some of the models, so that can really hinder the margins as well too, which I think has been the case. And yeah, just NVDA kind of stuck in that secondary, or sorry, Tesla's stuck in that secondary downtrend. So we're going to need to see a lot for it to turn around, I think, Obi.
Yeah, I think as far as earnings go for something like Tesla, I do think that the deliveries numbers is probably the biggest catalyst, maybe even bigger than some of the earnings that it's had for Tesla, and it's kind of shown that to us with the price action that kind of comes in on those delivery days in the past couple of years. So I think that one might be a little bit of a stronger factor to kind of consider, is like how are they doing relative to their past deliveries versus current ones. But yeah, no, Tesla's absolutely beautiful in terms of the opportunities and even the swing opportunities that it's been giving us. It's funny. I have a friend from high school, and throughout undergrad, he was always talking up Tesla. He was buying leaps.
Wow.
He was in positions. He had shares, and now he's laughing.
Yeah.
So, and that was more than 10 years ago. So nice. you can imagine that. But yeah, no, great. Yeah, would you look at that? Absolutely crazy. Like, he believed in the idea, he understood the technology, and he said that if this catches on, this is going to potentially change the world. And again, the thing is, EVs have been around for a long time. EVs has been around, I think around, since around the 70s. But it's always been kind of, knocked down, maybe lobbied against, and there's other factors at play, bigger picture, more powerful entities that may not want electric vehicles to be around, that have always kind of pushed that to the back burner. But Elon kind of brought it to the front, and is one of the top EV tickers in the world. So I think Tesla definitely has a strong potential there, and yeah. We'll see what they do. But yeah, like you said, it's in a bit of a downtrend. Let's see what we do with that flag. We could go either way, right? The bigger picture, it is another stonk that apparently only goes up.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the long run, I think you that's one thing, right? High beta stock, the volatility is always going to be there. It has that cult-like aspect to the name as well, too. Yeah. So, I mean, with this name comes volatility, so just be prepared. I think that it only goes up from here as well, too. I mean, knocking on the door, we were knocking on the door of 500 at some point, Obi, but then rejected around 480. But, I mean, it recovered about 100% of its stock. In a short period of time. So I really like Tesla, and I will for the foreseeable future. Dip buy opportunities here, yeah, maybe possibly running into some key supports, but I think you have to be really patient with this one, and just not look at the account from a day-to-day basis, because you'll be scratching your head quite often and be like, oh, what's going on here? Because you get those $20 swings drastically. Are you short SMCI now, Katina Man? 40.78, he's in it. Let's see what we got going on. Okay, so 40.78, dollar in the, oh, not quite, sorry, 40.78, 20 cents or so in the money there. Your Big Bear AI is moving, he's saying. But there we go. We might have put in that local top here on Super Micro. Let's see if it can recover here. Sorry, because this pullback might be micro, to be honest with you, Obi. That volume dwindling here. I don't know if we're going to go and test that high a day, but at this point, with a strong stock like this, I don't think you necessarily want to be fighting it with the overall market kind of testing those highs a days as well, too, man.
I see that a couple people chiming in on their thoughts on Tesla, and Mike Davis saying, stop treating Tesla like a car company. I 100% agree with you. If you go in, a lot of people treat Tesla like a car company. If you go in and read their mission statement, they are focused on renewable energy, right? On energy storage. They're basically trying to, so it's like, okay, well, if a company is focused on that, you can see that they're revolutionizing battery technology through the process of selling these cars. Optimus as well, there's a battery problem there, if they can solve that. Again, energy and energy storage is more along the lines of what kind of ticker Tesla really is. And sure, they sell cars as well. So I definitely agree with that statement. But currently, a lot of their focus is on vehicles. But again, along the way, a company can sell multiple different products to achieve its main goal. But yeah, if you guys have a chance, go and take a look at what Tesla's mission statement actually is. And I'm sure they're working towards fulfilling that mission statement.
I agree with you there, Obi. I mean, as you mentioned, the energy storage starting to grow as well too. So that's looking really well, and people just classify it as a data collection company as well, right? From the FSD. So there's many ways, but they just happen to be in a category that not very many people like in the car industry and stuff like that. So I mean, it is what it is. We know what Elon's capable of, and I think at this point now it's hard to bet against him in the long run. I remember when it was selling off here. We'll pull it up one more time before we stop talking about Tesla. But from a daily perspective, I know a lot of people were like, here, just through this whole almost a year of a downtrend here, Obi, for quite some time. So from November 21 all the way to 23, it really couldn't construct any new highs. And a lot of people, including myself, was like, okay, is this just the car company? But I don't think that's the case, especially what we've learned and how this AI revolution has come into play. I think they're right there. They're a top contender. FSD is going to be a huge thing as soon as all those regulatory factors get ironed out. But it may take some time for here north of the border to get that implemented, and same in the south as well. But he's really starting to pick some steam up, and then we can see if we can get that full autonomy fleets dispersed in the States before it comes out here. But yeah, here's NVDA starting to pull back, IBIT as well too. Let's talk a little bit about Bitcoin. We haven't talked too much about it today, Obi. We only got about 9 minutes or so left in the show, so let's see what we got going on. This thing just continues to bounce off of these key levels. I mean, prices really starting to compress here on Bitcoin. I think it's only a matter of time until it breaks. We had that double top up here, and I thought that at some point, Obi, even around here, I had a bunch of shares, and I let go of some of my position, which hindered my average. But then we get this pop back in. I'm like, okay, within this range, grab some more. Okay, sell around here. And then now with that double top in this key pivot area, I think it's either we break this or we just forget about this whole 90K level, and then we start heading into those mid 100, well, not mid, but early 100s. You get into the teens and etc. So I think only time will tell on this thing, but I think it needs a catalyst as well too in order to take it to that next level.
Yeah, I mean, again, I have no idea what Bitcoin is going to do, but what it's showing us is that it got to that 100K. Now we're getting a little bit of a consolidation shelf happening here. What is that? About roughly 10, 15K worth of a consolidation, roughly around there. So we're orbiting that 100K mark there. So I think we let it wind up. We let it kind of do its thing, and then let's see what that range, if we get a range break, which way that potentially comes in. And talking about breaks, oh boy, there goes the spider and the Nasdaq right here. So pushing up a little bit higher here, back towards the highs on both the futures. Here, NASDAQ and ES are the futures that I'm talking about right now. But yeah, coming right back up into some of those highs. So, oh boy, let's see what is kind of relatively stronger week here. So Apple still down near day lows. So not really the pressure not really coming in necessarily from that ticker. Tesla's to the downside. Nvidia's holding quite well. Alphabet looks like it wants to try to take catch a little bit of a bid. It's already held its opening range lows and ticking a little bit higher as well. Softy still trading near its lows. Amazon held that VWAP quite nicely and trying to tick up right now. Also Meta doing a little bit of a curling action. Is this in and around its VWAP It's looking like a bit of a VWAP area. Yeah, so it's consolidating underneath its VWAP currently on Meta there. So yeah, catching a bit of a bid here on the markets. Let's see where that'll take us into the closing session here. With only about 5 minutes, I want to know what you guys traded during the midday session there. Throw up some of those tickers. Okay, Darth Buddha talking about the VIX. I do want to keep an eye on that one. Let's see what our friend the VIX is up to. Again, volatility indicator. 1575. So yeah, a little bit of a trickle down. We got that push into that 20s. Was this? I think it was last week, right? Last week, prior week. So Friday we had that strong sell-off, and then the VIX kind of pulled back in. We talk about reversion. Oh boy, the best thing I think price. What was it saying again? Volatility. It definitely is a lot more reverting than price action is. So you can see that example there as we push up into the 20, comes right back into the 15. And let's see what we have in store coming into this week here. Do we tick up a little bit higher, bring that VIX in a little bit lower to that 15 mark? I have no idea. But again, in the middle of earnings season, we have some strong tickers still left to report in anticipation that could definitely cause a dent in some of these markets. So again, we're going to be watching out for those, and hopefully you guys have been trading well. A lot of people talking about BBAI. So let's take a quick last look at BBAI before we kind of leave you guys off. I know that Sean's definitely involved in this ticker as of right now. So coming right back up into VWAP here, day high is at 970. We held some of these prior day levels here. So if you're like continuation, that looks pretty solid. We got that consolidation leg on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We take a little bit of a pullback, and we're holding prior day's consolidation lows coming right back up into VWAP, which happens to be in and around 889 right here on Big Bear AI. So I'm curious to know how we do with this day high, again being week high currently at 970. If we can get back up into $10, that could be interesting on this ticker as well. A bit of a multi-day mover happening on BBAI. So it's a good look, solid look, and it seems like a lot of people are involved in that one.
Yeah, interesting stuff there. Good look there, OB. Market's starting to climb higher, putting in a potential new high a day here, guys. So, I mean, tough stuff here. Really strong market. Let's see what we got going on from a daily perspective. So, I mean, we're mid-range. I think with this report coming out on the 26th, it might send the market to new highs. Or if NVDA decides that it doesn't want to trade any higher, then by any means. What's SMCI up to? We got a face slapper here. From Katina Man, SMCI, I hate it when it does that. And here we are. Okay, that's so annoying. Still long off that recent dip here is Katina Man. That thing is still relatively strong, about 50 cents in the money roughly if he was in at 40.70s. So really good look there from my guy. As the overall market, some of these chip names are really strong today. SMCI. We had, let's see what Broadcom is up to. AVGO, yeah, Broadcom strong as well. And Palantir, what's Palantir up to now?
That was at the range
okay,
low.
Yeah, it's still climbing higher, 115 now.
What a white.
Yeah, this thing is really, really moving. We're going to talk about some Palantir shortly as well, too. But putting in that consolidation phase and then now looking to possibly crack it here, guys. That volume on the lower time frames is really starting to pick up. Key flat top here, forming that resistance base, but now punching through that OB. Really strong stuff here from Palantir. Only about a percentage point or two off of that all-time high. So I think we might even hit that today if this breakout is confirmed and then we move to the top side.
Yeah, strong continuation. Again, seems like this market has a lot of continuations, multi-day runners. Again, with the market tailwind kind of picking us back up with some of these chip stocks that were sold off prior couple of weeks with that gap down, market gap down with it. We're starting to break back above some of those consolidation highs. So I think that looking for those continuations definitely is a good look. And if the price action dictates, those trades are definitely on the table. Nice little hold of that 114 level. Sure, you do a little bit of a wash there, but that 114 level holding quite nicely on Palantir as the market bids back up. So the spider back above that 605 level there. So yeah, we're definitely wrong on the short as the market continues to pull back up towards its highs. So that's all I really got for you guys. Hopefully you guys had a good midday session. Hopefully you learned a thing or two. Again, shout out to Joe with coming in, dropping that knowledge on those options there as well. And yeah, giving you an all-round experience with trading the stocks here. So you got anything left to say? Or?
No, I think that's a valid point. We were talking a little bit about psychology this morning as well too, which I think is such a big aspect. One thing that we were going to talk about, Obi, that we didn't really is sleep.
We can cover that real quick.
Yeah. I mean, sleep is really important. We were talking about sleep here. We got about 15 seconds. It's really important to me. I find when I optimize my sleep, I perform better. How do you feel on that?
Yeah, definitely. We were talking about this earlier. I was like, all right, I track my sleep right here, tracking the different cycles, and I realized, I came to the conclusion that like whenever I don't meet my benchmarks for my REM sleep, my decision making is clearly affected. Now you can just type it up into Google. How does REM affect decision making? There are significant sources and studies done on the lack of REM sleep and the amount of the lack of decision making that you might have. So watching that every morning, I look, did I meet my benchmarks for my REM? If I didn't, maybe I want to risk down a little bit. Maybe I want to slow it down and be aware that my decision making is potentially affected, the market pulling back in as we pass it over to Sean and Neil.
Have a good day, everyone.
See ya.
Thank you very much, sir. I was actually, Obi said it, I was like, I just double checked it. Well, I didn't get much sleep relative to what I usually grab, and my REM was lower, which is interesting. Although I'm gonna blame my daughter for a little bit of it. She's in this new thing where it's like she wants us to make up stories, and I'm always like telling her